big game at the Etihad for you, and could Richarlison be the player to really grab this one by the horns? Could he be rejuvenated under Thomas Frank? Or, as we were hearing there right at the end, Dean Ashton, you know, there were rumours that he was going to be a make-weight in Spurs' move for Crystal Palace, you know, kind of included in the deal so that Spurs could get Eberechi Eze over the line. If that is true, surely that's awful for his self-esteem.
I can't really believe that it's true when Thomas Frank comes out and said he's my number 9, he's my starting number 9, which that's a bit of a sting for Solanke, that's for sure. And he's going to have to work his way back in. But Richarlison, we know he's had the talent. We know actually he's got a fantastic work rate, that's never been questioned. He gets under people's skin because of the way he can act on the pitch sometimes, and I think that takes away sometimes from his performances. So I don't know whether it's not take away from that free spirit that he clearly is, that Brazilian that's in him, that flair that's in him, that wonderful goal last week, of course. You don't want to take anything that away from him in that sense. But at 28, it's that seriousness of, come on, let's get everything out of your career now, because you've got the talent. Maybe it just needs a Thomas Frank to squeeze that last bit out of Richarlison and what he's able to give. And right now he's going to be given that opportunity. Yeah, he has struggled with injuries, hasn't he, in recent seasons, so he hasn't hit the numbers that Spurs fans would have hoped for. But who knows, could today be the day? I mean, either way, this is an interesting one for both managers. Pep Guardiola's been in the hot seat for 9 years here, and then there's another manager who's ready, Thomas Frank, for a brand new challenge at Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Pep, interestingly, never seems to enjoy facing Spurs. 9 is the number of defeats he's faced against Spurs, beaten by Spurs more than any other opponent other than Liverpool, who have beaten him 10 times in his managerial career. And this is another interesting one for you. Now, we saw that huge 4-0 victory for Tottenham Hotspur at the Etihad last season, in last November. It was the joint biggest defeat of Pep Guardiola's managerial career, so that will certainly sting. But it was also a result that ended City's 52-match unbeaten home run in all competitions, a record that had stood for 2 years previously. Do you want to guess who masterminded the last defeat before that? Yes, indeed, you've guessed it. If you have, it was Thomas Frank and his Brentford side, who beat Manchester City. It was a 12:30 kickoff. We were here with Game Day 2-1 2 years previously. Could Thomas Frank come full circle and do it all over again here at the Etihad and heap more misery on Manchester City and Pep Guardiola in particular? The teams are walking out. The atmosphere is electric here at the Etihad, and I'm going to hand you over to our commentary team as the pyrotechnics come out as well. Dean Ashton and Sam Matterface, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rashmin. Yes, the blue cannons send smoke into the sky. There is pyrotechnics and flame throwers that are shooting bright orange flames into the afternoon atmosphere. And we are at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester, which is in the business of adding a new tier to the North Stand away to our left-hand side. And it's odd, isn't it, really, that building up to a match between these two, it is Tottenham Hotspur who are the most recent trophy winners. Manchester City lost the FA Cup final, finished third in what was, by their standards, a largely miserable campaign. But you can't win them all, not even if your name is Pep Guardiola. Retooled, rearmed, replenished and revitalised, Manchester City have steadily started to look much better. The new signings are shining and their old hero is hitting the high notes once again. There were signs of the old days at Molineux a week ago. Reaching the heights of 6 titles in 8 years and 11 other major honours in that time is a long road back. And for all their success, their record against Spurs is decisively patchy. Last year, Spurs tore them apart, one of 6 Premier League defeats in the space of 8 weeks. Revenge? Well, that's the aim. Manchester City make 2 changes. Cherki and Marmoush come in. Trafford keeps his place. It's a bolstered midfield that sees Polinia and Bentancur come into the Tottenham side for Gray and Bergvall. They started the win against Burnley. The referee is Peter Banks. The VAR is Andy Madley. And Dean Ashton, the former England and West Ham striker, is with me. It's an attacking-looking City against a stiffened Spurs. How does it play out for you?
Well, I think obviously Thomas Frank has had success against Pep Guardiola, so he'll have an idea of how to try and keep out this magnificent looking attack, you have to say, for Manchester City, with Cherki, Marmoush, Reinders and Haaland and Bob all involved, and your fullbacks getting forward as well. So I expect City to have plenty of the possession, to be probing, but I really think they're going to be tested this afternoon by this Tottenham side that in Kudus, Johnson and Richarlison are really going to push on the counter-attack.
Yeah, certainly that is likely. If you look at Tottenham Hotspur's pattern of play in the game against Paris Saint-Germain and the way they lined up against Burnley, they were certainly a little bit more, well, less reluctant to be the all-out and Postecoglou footballing side, more like the team that you would expect Thomas Frank to preside over, more direct at times, going for the longer ball. Even Vicario quite happy to kick long during that Super Cup game against Paris Saint-Germain. It's been a week where Tottenham supporters have been bemoaning their club's propensity to miss out on snaring the big fish. Eze wriggled off their hook and onto Arsenal's. With a retooled Manchester City, they'll have to be a lot more decisive on the pitch. They're wearing all black today. Manchester City in their light blue home kit with white shorts and blue socks. Our referee today, Peter Banks. Our VAR is Andy Madley. It's the first of 3 commentaries today across the Talksport network. Charlton Athletic against Leicester City just getting underway on Talksport 2. A little bit later on, it's Wrexham in action on Talksport 2 as they take on Sheffield Wednesday. Tomorrow we're round the grounds on Game Day Live from the Hill Dickinson Stadium, the opening of the new Everton Arena. They take on Brighton. We're on air at 1:30. And Monday Night Football is Newcastle United against Liverpool. What a game that should be. But right now, it's a blockbuster match with blockbuster names and a proper dose of intrigue. It's Manchester City against Spurs, and it is only on Talksport. Manchester City shooting from left to right. Spurs in their away kit from right to left. It's jam-packed. There's a sellout inside the Etihad Stadium, and immediately Spurs send the ball back to Vicario. And there's an example of what I was talking about. Straight away, Dean Ashton, he kicks long and tries to send it up to Richarlison for him to try and hold on to.
Yeah, they will be direct under Thomas Frank, but Pep Guardiola was tasked with rejuvenating this Manchester City squad and team last season. Well, this is it. This is the new look team. See how they go.
And they're fast as well on the counter-attack, and Marmoush has been sent away down the left-hand side, but Romero and Van de Ven, 2 of the fastest players in the Premier League, mop up and get it back to Vicario, who is the goalkeeper. I'll go through the 2 11s in just a second as the ball goes into midfield. Kudus tries to hold on to it, but miscontrols. And then Cherki drops back, picks it up in the centre of midfield and lays it to Rico Lewis, playing at right back. Newly shorn hair for Rico Lewis at the beginning of this season. Out wide to the left where it's taken on by Aït-Nouri. He in turn finds Marmoush. He comes infield and gives it to Gonzalez, who's just at the front of the centre circle inside Tottenham Hotspur territory. We played just a little over a minute and you're listening to Talksport. It's 0-0. This is Reinders, so effective last week in the Premier League against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Helping it back to Stones then, Lewis, and then further on to Oscar Bob, who plays it into Reinders. Left to Cherki, who tries to feed Haaland. Across comes Mickey van der Ven, snuffs the ball out, puts it out on this near touchline. But Manchester City just getting into a little bit of a quick rhythm there in and around the penalty area, and those tight little balls in very intricate areas almost opened up Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, sharp, crisp start from Manchester City. I just wondered what that midfield would look like. Reinders actually is the furthest forward with Cherki as a pair, and Gonzalez just sitting, but Reinders on the left rather than the right as he was against Wolves.
Here is Bob moving up towards the edge of the area, being watched by Spence, who was very good against Burnley last week. Into Stones. Stones 10 yards short of the area, comes in field. Lays it square. It's taken on by Ruben Diaz, who's just signed a new contract just in the last couple of days to keep him at the club till 2029. Into Bob, who's being pursued by Spence, who does well to rob him. Pep Guardiola thought that was a foul. Peter Banks didn't, and Spurs have the ball on halfway. Not for long. Won by Gonzalez, then picked off by Van de Ven ahead of Haaland. It's all the way back to the D, where Vicario has it away to our right. James Trafford is the Manchester City goalkeeper. He's miles away from the action and hasn't seen any of it yet. Lewis, Stones, Diaz and Aït-Nouri the back four. Gonzalez anchoring the midfield with Cherki and Reinders. Then Bob on the right, Marmoush on the left and Haaland through the middle for Manchester City. 0-0. Tottenham Hotspur with Vicario in goal. Bright orange goalkeeping jersey for him. He clips the ball out towards this near side. Jed Spence runs into trouble. He was fouled there by Oscar Bob. The free kick is given in his favour. The Tottenham team then, Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van de Ven and Spence. In midfield, Sarr, Palhinha and Bentancur. Kudus and Johnson flanking Richarlison in attack. Dean Ashton, what have you made of the opening 3 minutes?
Well, of course, Manchester City, when they have the ball, John Stones, Lewis, Diaz, Aït-Nouri, they're all looking for that little probing pass into midfield. And actually, as a forward player, sometimes your job isn't just to chase after defenders, it's actually to get your angles right, to make sure that you can be that little barrier between the defender playing it into midfield. Richarlison, Papsar, Kudus, Johnson have done it brilliantly just so far. As City try to play that ball through, it's your job sometimes as a forward to get into those good positions and have the angles right.
0-0. Spurs, who had a shot inside 30 seconds against Burnley last week, scored inside 13 minutes here last year, haven't really got out of their own half so far in the game. Manchester City coming forward again, down the left, Marmoush scampering away down towards the corner flag. He watches it as it bounces into the left wing position, then a little bit of an ambitious pass actually, and it's given away cheaply to Papsar. Couldn't find Kudus and the ball goes out of play for a throw-in, but he missed an opportunity there. Marmoush. Jed Spence has just gone on a dart down this left-hand side just while you were talking there, Dean, and he ran into traffic. And last week I was watching the game against Burnley and he had a lot of joy getting down the flanks and supporting Brennan Johnson on the left for Tottenham Hotspur, but he's not going to have it his own way this time around. He's got Bob to deal with, and then if he does manage to get past the Norwegian, Enrico Lewis will very quickly be on the scene.
Well, no, look, he's started to establish himself as a starter, hasn't he? Jed Spence, again, terrific at getting forwards, magnificent athlete, but today he'll test him mentally, both in his organisation, in his positioning alongside Van de Ven, when to go, when to stay, and he'll be really tested defensively.
He certainly will. You're listening to Talksport. Newport have taken the lead against MK Dons by a 0-0. That's in League 2 this lunchtime. Habib Agonye has scored the only goal of that game so far. It's 0-0 between Luton and Cardiff, Rotherham and Wigan, and Walsall and Salford. And in the Championship, it's still 0-0 in all three of our 12:30 games, including our commentary game live on Talksport 2. Charlton against Leicester. We'll keep you updated right here. Manchester City unbeaten in 11 Premier League games, won their last 5 at home. Started perfectly away from home last week with the thrashing of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Have a first bit of defending to do because they've given away a free kick 20 yards inside their own territory, wide on the left as Tottenham look at it. It's a good sort of 10 steps in from the left touchline, and then it's Pedro Porro who delivers it to the far post. The header by Bentancur in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, hooked away by Haaland, who got there first, and he sends it long. Was there a trip on Marmoush as he went to escape over on the far side by Brennan Johnson? The referee says there wasn't, and Tottenham continue with Kudus doing a little bit of trickery over on the far side to retain possession. They're inside the Manchester City half, wide on the right, back towards the fullback Jed Spence, who's on the wrong side for a moment and has to guide it all the way back to Vicario, and then it's taken forward by Palhinha, who was at Bayern Munich last year and is on loan this time around. He played 10 minutes against Burnley off the bench last week, didn't have a great season at Bayern, only started 13 games, but he is a terrific player, and I think he's probably what Spurs needed in the middle of the park.
Oh, he's a destroyer, isn't he, in that midfield area? And he spots danger, he senses it, he wants to get into positions to help his centre-backs. And let's be honest, at times Romero and Van de Ven do need a little bit of help in front of them because they are aggressive players and like to get tight, as Romero is there.
Oh yeah, and he's won the ball and he's sent it forward towards the edge of the area, and Haaland, in the act of being dispossessed, has found Richarlison about a step away from the edge of the penalty area. And he's got himself a yellow card there, I think, Erling Haaland, did he, for that? He certainly was spoken to by the referee. He was very quick on the scene to give the free kick. He might have not produced the yellow card. We'll get confirmation in just a second, but he certainly has given a free kick to Tottenham just outside the area in a dangerous position. He just got a little bit caught too deep there, Haaland.
Well, I think he felt he had time because he'd got away from Romero, and then it was quite a heavy chested touch, and Romero was on him and just won the ball back. And then obviously in that panic, he just goes to ground and tries to swipe the ball away from Richarlison and catches him right on the ankle. Painful one for Richarlison.
Well, if he hasn't got a yellow card, he's probably lucky to get away with one.
Very, very proper scissor action right on the ankle.
Porro standing over it, and they are dangerous from this sort of range because they've got such good strikers of the ball, and Pedro Porro is certainly one of those. And Tottenham, who picked up their first opening day win since 2022 last week, haven't won their first two games of the season since 2021. Kudus is standing just to his right, but it's going to be Porro strikes it right-footed straight into the ball, comes back to him the second attempt, and he drives that into the near side netting. And Trafford went sprawling across in his bright pink goalkeeping outfit, but he had it covered, I think, and it was just narrowly wide of the post.
Yeah, I mean, his first effort was ugly, wasn't it? It was low, it was into the wall, it came directly back to him, and then he tried to sting it on the half volley towards that near top corner. Trafford was across, but half a look for Pedro Porro is his ability to strike a ball.
Yeah, we're exciting a little bit. We're expecting a little bit of excitement today because of the entertainment that these two have produced over the course of the last few years, the number of goals, and that's a mistake by Pedro Porro. It's given it to Marmoush, who sent it into the far corner, and it's only narrowly wide. He's hit the outside of the post. Well, it's trickled along the goal line, that. It was a simple back pass, and Porro got it all wrong. He just nudged it just only slightly, and that allowed Marmoush to sniff an opportunity to go and get it. And he ran round the back and from an acute angle rolled the ball towards the far post, and it trickled along the goal line, just kissed the outside of the post and then went behind.
No, this is a goalkeeper's mistake for me. Vicario, get out of your 6-yard box. Help your defender there. You know he's just going to head it back to you. Get off your line. It would have been so easy to deal with. Instead, he went back into his 6-yard box. Pedro Porro then tried to recover. Marmoush was quick onto it, wasn't he? Tried to just hit it with his left foot across Vicario.
I mean, it's not a great header, that, Dean, is it? I mean, he's headed it away from the goalkeeper into the sort of away from the 6-yard box rather than to it.
Well, he's tried to head it into an area where the goalkeeper just comes across and it's as far away for Marmoush to get to. The goalkeeper's got to get off his line there. It's such a simple thing, really, for Vicario to deal with.
Well, he's been under a little bit of scrutiny, Vicario, because he had a few awkward moments in that game against Burnley. The sort of cross-handed save from Laurent Long shot in the first half was a bit of an issue. There's a problem here for Trafford, who's been dispossessed. There was a short back pass by Lewis, and Richarlison was onto him in a flash. The ball's gone wide of the goal, out towards the right-hand side, picked up by Kudus, who's crossed the far post, is too deep, and it floats out of play and goes out for a goal kick away to our left. But James Trafford there, again, a bit like Vicario at the other end, just a little bit guilty. Lewis had all the time in the world, just left it for his goalkeeper and then just hit it at the final moment. That put Trafford under a bit of pressure, and he didn't get it clear. He sort of tapped it straight at Richarlison.
No, exactly. This ain't the under-18s, lads. Just speak to each other. Just a bit of communication between Lewis and Trafford. Again, just deals with the situation. They left it and left it. Lewis then plays it to Trafford, who takes a poor touch. He's so lucky that Richarlison's challenge there doesn't fall for the Brazilian, and he gets away with it.
That was a prime example of what both these teams are about, though. High pressure all the time. Don't give the opponents a moment's peace, and Richarlison particularly good at that, as is Marmoush. Here's Gonzalez on this near side for Manchester City. 0-0 the score. We played 11 minutes on Talksport. There's a foul by Sarr. Gives it straight to Cherki. Lewis, then out to Bob, right-hand side. On the attack for Manchester City. Tries to skip past Paulinho, fouls him, but he keeps hold of possession. Then bends the ball out to the far side. And Pedro Porro heads it away. And the ball comes back off Richarlison, who got something in the back there from Diaz. Referee is allowed play on. Reinders onto Marmoush, takes it wide of Porro. Goalkeeper comes out this time, makes a really good save with his chest, and it rebounds out to the far side where Kudus tries to hold it up, and the ball goes out for a throw into Manchester City, and they put the pressure on again. Reinders takes it on, runs diagonally towards the left edge of the area. Back in field it goes
towards Cherki, and then further towards the left once more, and Aït-Nouri. Reinders back into centre field. Diaz now looking up, clipping it over the top. There's no one there who's making that run into the inside left channel. It goes out and away for a goal kick away to our right. But after criticising just moments ago, that was a good stop from Vicario.
Yeah, superb goalkeeping. You're right, I was critical, and rightly so, but not this time. Really sharp out of his goal in front of Marmoush, who's looked really sharp over the first 2 or 3 yards against Power already. But you make it so difficult for any player when the angle's tight if the goalkeeper can come out quickly, and Vicario did there.
Interesting start to the game with Manchester City dominating possession. They've had 64% of it so far. One major save from Vicario aside. There haven't been too many goal scoring opportunities so far in the game, so it is still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0 on Talksport with Sky Sports. And don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly, like Arsenal Leeds live today 5:30. Search Now Sports. This is Talksport. Sam Matterface and Dean Ashton at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester, and that big new stand that will take the capacity here to over 60,000, on the verge of being completed. It'll be about another 6 months or so before that opens, but this stadium is going to be part of the Euro 2028 bid. Well, we've won the bid, but it's going to be the staging of Euro 2028. One of the grounds that is used in that tournament, as will the Hill Dickinson Stadium, where we'll be tomorrow for Game Day Live as Everton take on Brighton. Monday Night Football comes from Newcastle as they take on Liverpool. Those two, they get on all right, don't they? There's no sort of animosity between those two, not this summer anyway, surely. 8 o'clock kickoff, Monday Night Football. Looking forward to it. Sarr is way offside as the ball's played up over the halfway line, and it goes all the way through to goalkeeper James Trafford. Problem over on the far side. Looks as if is it Aït-Nouri who's gone down?
Yeah, he's just signalled to the referee. But just looking at Manchester City defensively, out of possession with Tottenham having it at the back there. It's a 4-1-4-1 with Gonzalez as the one and Haaland as the one, and then a nice shape. And obviously when you're trying to play the offsides, that back four has to be in a perfect line, in perfect unison, as it was a good few times against Wolves. But Tottenham are looking for that, and the best way to get beyond that is the runner from deep. Is maybe not the forward players, it might be a Pap Sarr that's making that run from deep. It was just horribly timed on that occasion.
Lots of conversations now happening because there's a little drinks break that's going on with Aït-Nouri getting treatment over on the far side. The two sets of players have come over to the near touchline. And interesting, just looking at the two sets of players warming up and talking and discussing it with the coaching staff. There's lots of changes in the coaching staff. Obviously Tottenham have got a whole new team in charge with Thomas Frank now in the middle of a little huddle going through certain instructions that he wants to pass on to his team. Pep Guardiola in there with some of them, but Kolo Touré, who's now part of the Manchester City coaching staff, having a word with Haaland. Pep Lijnders, who was once at Liverpool and is now part of the Manchester City squad, just having a word with John Stones, as is Pep Guardiola as well. So there's lots of changes in dynamics behind the scenes as well. In the Championship, Hull City 0, Blackburn Rovers 0. Blackburn have got off to a poor start so far this season. Start the day 21st in the Championship. No points on the board so far. Charlton have been very good defensively so far. They're still 0-0 with Leicester City, for whom El Khanous is not in the matchday squad today. He might well end up getting a move to the Premier League in the not too distant future. And Swansea's good home record, they hope to continue today against Watford. It's 0-0. Remember, Charlton against Leicester is live on Talksport 2 with Flo Pollock and Scott Minto right now. We played 16 and a bit minutes on Talksport, and it's Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Tottenham dealt with the high press of Burnley pretty effectively last week. A little bit different dealing with Manchester City. It's especially shackling Tijani Reinders and Ryan Cherki, two players who will look to get forward. And Marmoush over on that left-hand side has started very brightly, I think. Desperate to make an impact after being left out of the starting lineup at Molineux last week. Here's John Stones. Good to see him back in the starting lineup. Slender and lean as he moves up towards the halfway line. Told not to force it by Kolo Touré. And then it's given to Diaz, who's under a little bit of pressure from the Tottenham press, and Johnson comes across to Stones and then plays a really good ball. John Stones out to the right-hand side, picked up by Bob. Bob wanders in field, being trapped by Spence. Then on to Lewis, then back into Bob. Lots of space in the middle for Ryan to see if he can pick him out. Instead he goes left towards Marmoush. Marmoush gets to the edge of the area, right-footed shot, great parried save by Vicario, and Haaland can't finish up. Good effort from Marmoush, hard and strong, and they've still got possession here. Although it ends with Polinia winning it back for Tottenham Hotspur. Good chance.
Yeah, well, he had it in his mind straight away, Omar Marmoush, that's what he wanted to do. So when that ball was fizzed into him from Bob, that first initial touch, which is always so important, was nicely out of his feet. He could then just size it up and take the strike. It's that quick thinking. It's thinking before the ball's even got to you is where you become at elite level. Marmoush was excellent there with the first touch, knowing what he wanted to do, taking the strike. Yes, it was easy for Vicario, but it almost fell for Haaland, who couldn't quite control.
Ryan Hedges has scored for Blackburn Rovers away at the is it KCOM? It's not the KCOM, it's MKM, isn't it, nowadays? Yeah, the MKM, Hull City 0, Blackburn Rovers 1 in the Championship. Here is Reinders steaming forward, edge of the area, just took that too far to the edge of the box without releasing it, ran into traffic, was crowded out. The ball goes out towards this left-hand side. Yeah, Ryan Hedges scoring for Blackburn Rovers. Have a terrible start to the season. The lowest expected goals in the division so far in the Championship, but they're on top against Hull City this lunchtime. 19 minutes gone here, no breakthrough at the Etihad, where it's Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. But Manchester City have had the better of the chances, the clear-cut chances in the game so far. Tottenham yet to really test James Trafford, apart from that moment where Richarlison almost took advantage of a bit of a mix-up between Rico Lewis and the goalkeeper.
Yeah, but it is that far side to us. And Marmoush and Reinders that look the threat so far. As Reinders again just driving from midfield. We've already seen that's going to be his strength. We certainly probably want to avoid him pre-season, that's for sure. I'd have been nowhere near him, thank you.
He's got an incredible ability to break the lines with his passes and attacking key areas of the pitch. It was one of his big strengths at AC Milan last season, and it's something actually that Kevin De Bruyne was very good at as well. He broke the opponent's defensive line with a pass more times than any other player in Serie A last season. He scored 10 league goals for AC Milan, easily the best return of his career. The only other central midfielder to score more goals than him in Serie A last season, do you know?
Wasn't it a Scott?
Ballon d'Or nominated.
Yes,
Scott
it is.
McTominay. Here is Jed Spence in the left full-back position under pressure from Bob. It goes out of play, and it does look as if Ryan Aït-Nouri's got a bit of a problem here. In fact, so much of an issue that he might have to be substituted for Nathan Ake.
Yeah, it'd be a blow, wouldn't it? He was excellent against Wolves as well, but he just fell awkwardly over on that far side when he hurt his knee, I think it was. And apologies, Sam, it took me so long for me to almost get that tune.
Did you not get the tune?
That's woeful for me, that. Woeful.
It's early season, mate. It's only the second week of the campaign. We're going to have another stoppage here while they make that change because Aït-Nouri's gone down, and this is a worry for them.
Well, it is with his reaction, isn't it? As if he knows that he's done something, whether he's felt something in the knee, but he's upset about it, and it's just horrible as a player, of course, especially early on in the season when you're just so excited and you've just got yourself up to the levels.
And you've just moved to a brand new club as well.
Yes.
You know, it's not something that you want to give up your place in the team because there's so much competition in these Manchester City ranks. And look, this is a club that don't usually play with a left back. I can't remember the last time they played with a left back before Aït-Nouri arrived. It's mainly been central defenders that have been repurposed into that area, and it's something that Pep Guardiola often favours. So you know, the last thing he wants is to be out of the team because getting back in it might be a task.
Yeah. Especially with the talent. Obviously Nathan Ake is the one that's coming on, who's obviously been linked as well, hasn't he, to the likes of Everton and other teams, but it's not a bad deputy, is it?
Well, this is what I was talking about earlier. The strength of the Manchester City squad, so apparent. And I know that Pep Guardiola wants to trim that because he's a little bit concerned that it's an unhealthy situation to have so many players, but crikey, it's a plethora of names that would whet the appetite for most Premier League managers. Aït-Nouri off and Ake on.
And Manchester City have been forced into a first change rather early on in this game. 23 minutes gone. You're listening to Talksport. Sam Matterface and Dean Ashton at the Etihad Stadium. A gloomy day in Manchester. And it's just a sort of small slither of sunshine, but the sun not shining on Ryan Aït-Nouri, who's very disappointed as he walks down the touchline and then into the tunnel. He has a quick word with Kolo Touré, who tries to console him, and they clear the ball, West Ham United, from a goal kick. Up to Richarlison, who holds it well ahead of Gonzalez, feeds it into Johnson. He's got Spence going on the outside of him. He then in turn passes it to Spence, gets it back Johnson, but it's a heavy touch which will take it down the inside left channel and out, running away from the playing surface and out for a goal kick away to our left. It's still 0-0.
Yeah, appreciation of a pass was really important there, actually, from Jed Spence. He does brilliantly to overlap Johnson, receives the ball, and then with his pass back towards Johnson, it needs to have some appreciation with it just to lend it to him. He fires it in, bobbles it in. Yes, of course, at this level, you expect your teammate to control it, but that wasn't easy.
Long raking ball forward by James Trafford. City not playing out from the back. They're getting the long balls from the goal kicks because of the high press from Tottenham Hotspur. Haaland didn't get anywhere near that, and then he was a little bit upset at the ball, and the pressure didn't come in his direction as Bentancur won it right on the edge of the area, tucks it back to Van de Ven, out to Spence. Spence strides over halfway, bends across from left to right, looking for Kudus. He's asking a lot of Kudus, and it's another hefty pass from Jed Spence, which takes that ball out of play, and it's away for a throw-in in the left full-back position, right by the corner flag for Nathan Ake.
But those are the small moments, should we say. That one previously when he plays it into Johnson, and then there when you've got players forward, and it's not a difficult pass over the far side to Kudus, and it was overhit by Spence. And that just, yes, appreciation from your manager, Thomas Frank, but probably frustration, actually, that you're in good positions against Man City. You're not making the most of them.
Well, Tottenham Hotspur remarkably haven't lost their opening away game in 9 seasons. Still 0-0 here as Van de Ven takes the ball off Vicario, moves it out to Jed Spence, who's seen a little bit more of the ball in the last few moments, but hasn't done any harm with it yet. He feeds it into the left wing position, where it's collected by Johnson, who was last season's top scorer for Tottenham. Tries to jink away from Lewis, who puts pressure on him. Ball flicks out of play, and it's away for a throw-in on this near touchline. No goals so far. The last 4 Premier League meetings between these two have produced 21 goals. None of those for Manchester City, and 12 of those for Tottenham Hotspur, who had such a good win here last campaign. Romero back to the halfway line. Vicario takes it on, deep inside his own half, looks up. All of the Tottenham players start to try and make sure they're onside, because they know that Vicario is going to launch this high into the City territory. It's won by Kudus, picked up by Richarlison. No one to pick up the pieces after the pressure, and it bounces into the arms of Trafford away to our left-hand side.
Well, just, going back to that performance from West Ham last night and feeling like you're not sure where they're at and what they've learned from the manager, and seeing the ideas we have from Tottenham so far.
Look at the run from Reinders through the middle of the park, and the crossfield pass out to Marmoush isn't controlled by the Egyptian. He's furious about that, but Reinders have made such a brilliant lung-bursting run through the middle, right down the centre of the pitch, looking for a ball over the top. Didn't come, but just shows you the option that he's going to provide as well.
Oh, it was excellent, wasn't it? But also what it did is it gave a massive amount of space to Marmoush, who miscontrolled really poorly on that far side. But like I said, that Tottenham shape, you can see what they're trying to do out of possession. There's an intensity about that. And then the way that they're going to attack. Thomas Frank already getting his points across.
Here is Reinders out to the left. Marmoush takes it on, looks to try and beat Porro. Threads the ball into the centre of the penalty area, but it's too tight, and Tottenham close ranks and clear. But it does bounce back to Marmoush, edge of the penalty area. Now Gonzalez has it, feeds it centrally, taken on by Diaz. Now on to Rico Lewis, whose radar didn't particularly seem to click into gear there. He misplaced where Oscar Bob was. It goes behind him and out for a throw-in, and away for Tottenham to pick it up once again. This is Talksport. Saturday lunchtime, 27 minutes gone, and now 12:30, and it's Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Game Day Live with Adrian Durham comes at 2:30, and Adrian today coming to you live from Turf Moor with Mickey Gray, where Burnley and Sunderland clash in the Premier League. And 5:30 this afternoon, the game day phone-in with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. I promise you, if you're a Tottenham fan, Jason will not be wearing the outfit, OK? He won't be wearing it. He's promised he's not going to do it again. Spence to throw the ball in down the touchline. He sends it long into Richarlison, who couldn't quite hold it up. It's cannons off the body of Johnson and ricocheted for Sarr. A little bit of miscommunication between him and Bentancur allows Haaland to steal in and win it. He bundles his way past Palhinha, feeds it into Marmoush, who goes against the goalkeeper and hits it straight at the chest of Vicario. And it's a brilliant stop from Vicario. Maybe Marmoush might feel he needed a bit more of a delicate finish. We'll ask Dean Ashton, the arch poacher, in just a second. But it was a good stop from Vicario, and it's still 0-0, but another chance for Manchester City.
Really good chance, wasn't it, from Marmoush? Haaland, so strong in the way that he drove away. Got a bit lucky because Paulinho's tackle still fell for him. Great passing towards Marmoush. He's through. He just doesn't look up, I'm sure, because Vicario comes out. All it needs is just lifting, like you say, that delicate finish away from Vicario. Instead, he just smashes it into the body of the goalkeeper.
Richarlison doesn't think he's getting any joy at the moment. He keeps winning the ball and he keeps feeling as if he's being fouled by Diaz, getting roughhoused, and he's having a word with Peter Banks, who has given a foul in favour of Manchester City, just left of the centre circle, about 10 yards in front of it, and in a position where they can try and cause havoc, with Ryan Cherky prepared to take this free kick. And Thomas Frank just wanders back into his technical area. Pep Guardiola all in black today, apart from the bright white trainers, just stalking the technical area from one side to the other, looking down to the floor. And Manchester City looking to try and craft something here as we hit the half-hour mark in the Premier League. 0-0, looking for our first goal of the day. We had 6 last night. Here on the left-hand side, Cherky picks it up. Plays it into Marmoush, comes back out to the edge of the area. Forward by Lewis, away by Pedro Porro. A chance maybe for Tottenham to break, because they've only left Reinders back, and Kudus has got hold of it. And now City try to scurry back, and they do so very quickly, getting bodies back behind the ball. Kudus did really well to hold on to it. But there was a moment there where there was just Reinders and 2 black shirts. And if Kudus had got away first time and threaded the ball through to Johnson, they were in big trouble, Manchester City. But as soon as there was a stumble from Kudus, they all seemed to snap back.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, and the desire to get back and help defensively was excellent from Manchester City. But if Kudus actually just would have won the header there against Reinders, then Johnson would have been through, clean through on his own. And instead he decided to control it and kept hold of it well. But if it had just gone up and won the header, Johnson would have been away, because Reinders was on his own.
Well, the latest odds are available at Betfair. Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. The official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage are offering you right now City 13-8 on to win the game. Spurs are 9-2. The draw is 11-4. That's all thanks to Betfair. Play in a different league this season with safe sub from Betfair. 18+, begambleaware.org. City messing around with it inside their area, but they get away with the pressure that Tottenham were applying. And the ball goes all the way to the halfway line, and now Spurs have possession once again. It's Talksport, Saturday afternoon. 59% of the ball has been with Manchester City. Here is Tottenham, though, in possession once again, in those black shirts with very little trim. And the trim is some off grey as well. Ball goes back to halfway, picked up by Bentancur. Infield, back to Bentancur again from Palhinha. It's all the way back to Bentancur, who drives forward and out towards this left side, where Jed Spence wins it, turns and feeds it back into the path of Van der Ven. Tottenham trying to get a little bit of possession here under their belts and trying to control the rhythm of the game for a moment, because Manchester City have largely dominated it and had the best chances. Vicario's made a couple of good saves so far. Stones underneath a high ball, does well, reads it perfectly, and as it comes from the edge of the penalty area by Vicario out towards this left-hand side, Stones is there to meet it. Walsall leads Salford by a 1-0. Harrison Burke with the opener for the Saddlers. Newport still leading MK Dons by a goal to nil. Those games in League 2, no goals so far in our League 1 matches between Luton and Cardiff and Rotherham and Wigan. And only one goal in our 12:30 Championship games. Hull behind against Blackburn by a goal to nil. Charlton nil, Leicester nil, Swansea nil, Watford nil. And this is Romero on halfway. Back to Vicario. And as you were saying, you can definitely see an evolution in Tottenham Hotspur, can't you, already? I mean, we saw it in the PSG game. There were signs of their attacking threat last week when they played Burnley, but today they just look a little bit more robust.
Yeah, well, they've got the intensity still that we saw under Ange, but there's an organisation and there's a patience, isn't there, in the way that they defend out of possession. And then they know they've got the pace, obviously, of Van der Ven. They can be aggressive, but then they can fall into a shape. You can see what the manager has done already in his time at Tottenham.
Oh, it's a yellow card for Brennan Johnson for kicking the ball away. I mean, it's pretty obvious. That law came in last year. If you do that, you're going to find yourself in trouble, and he is. It's a yellow card for Brennan Johnson after Van der Ven had given a foul, a cheap foul actually, I thought. I think the referee was a little bit harsh there, and then Johnson wanted it taken from a different position, so kicked it backwards, and the referee very quickly came across and gave a yellow card. It's our first yellow card of the day, although Haaland was pretty lucky not to pick one up earlier in the match.
No, but how silly is that from Brennan Johnson? Now he can't do anything really for the rest of the game. It's just a really silly decision. Yes, is it going to bolster the Christmas do coffers? Probably. That's usually what you get fined for within the players' pot.
You can't spend it on what you used to spend it on, not anymore.
No, you can't.
Given away by Tottenham on the edge of their own penalty area, and Reinders, well, he's picked it up and tried to feed it into the path of Cherky, but he's overhit it and it goes out of play, and there's an inquest going on in the Tottenham defence because they've gifted Manchester City a chance there, a chance that Reinders really should have done better with. He should have made more of that.
Oh, he should have. He didn't realise he had all the space to turn himself on the edge of the area and take a strike towards goal. It was Haaland who found him. Yes, he tried to find Cherky, but that wasn't the play. The play was just to turn and have 5 or 6 yards of... Oh, Richarlison's away.
He is down the right-hand side, a long ball, and he's got Johnson in the centre. He's going to give it to Johnson, who arrives and smashes it beyond the goalkeeper. The offside flag is up, though, and his celebrations are curtailed. But the Tottenham game plan, it looked like for a moment there was going to work to a T. They will just hold this and have a look on VAR. But Richarlison broke down that right-hand side. The flick on, there was a slip in the middle of the park. He looked very close to being onside to me. Johnson was behind the ball, and there will be a big check going on to see whether or not Tottenham have taken the lead.
Oh, this is going to be so close. I think it's Ruben Diaz who's the one that steps up at the last second as Kudus heads it on. Richarlison tries his best to just arc that last bit of his run.
There's a big slip in there as well, Dean.
It certainly is, but who is it? Is it Diaz or is it Stone? I think it's John Stones maybe that tries to jump out and slips in the process. Oh, it's going to be so close. Has he timed it right?
It's really tight. I mean, with the naked eye, it looks like it's onside initially, but VAR checking it will use semi-automated offside technology to decide. I just wonder if his body is just leaning a little bit too far in front of John Stones there. I mean, the gap between the two is infinitesimal, and there's different parts of the body leaning in different ways. So you've got Richarlison leaning forward and Stones sprawling backwards because he's falling over as he's trying to desperately get out. So it's very difficult. But they have given the goal because it was onside just, and Tottenham lead at Manchester City once again. They demolished them last season, and Spurs once more are inflicting damage on Manchester City. They've gone in front in the first half, and Tottenham Hotspur lead by a goal to nil, and Brennan Johnson has scored it.
Well, it was there, wasn't it? It was so inviting for a forward player. That Manchester City high line, it was just about, could you time it perfectly? And Richarlison, by a hair's breadth, has been able to keep himself on side. He arcs it enough. John Stones is, I think, who's just trying to step up, but his feet are just hanging behind him. which just plays Richarlison onside. It's a great ball across, and then Brennan Johnson, let's take nothing away from that finish. It was fizzed across from Richarlison, and he just hit it lovely, side foot, too firm for Trafford, who got a touch, and up into the roof of the net.
I have to say, I've seen the semi-automated offside technology reconstruction image. That was it was tighter than Superman's underpants. It was tighter than Dean Ashton's T-shirt that he's got hugging his biceps underneath that hoodie. That was tight.
Bit spray on, it's that tight.
Should James Trafford have done better?
No, it's too powerful. When it's being side-footed from 4 yards with that sort of pace, the pace is on the cross. You then add the pace with the side foot to be able to react quick enough. I'm not quite sure he's able to. Even just the slightest arm movement he manages to get isn't enough then to actually stop the power of the strike. That's why it's so important you concentrate on the cleanness of your strike, as Johnson did there.
Well, Tottenham Hotspur did it last year. Are they going to do it again? Watford have had a terrible start to the season, especially away from home. They got their first win in 8 games with a victory over Queen's Park Rangers, but their away form absolutely terrible. They've lost the last 6 on the road, all of them by a single goal, but they've gone in front today away from home, and they lead at Swansea 1-0. And their story, Iran Kunda has got the goal. Here's Kudus trying to take on James Trafford, who comes out, collides with Kudus. Another long ball over the top caused them issues. And still Pedro Porro goes on the forage. He goes beyond Reinders, goes down, and it looks like a penalty inside the box. He's waving it away, Peter Banks, but VAR will look at that as well, Dean Ashton. Meanwhile, at the other end, Oscar Bob tries to break the defensive line and go between Spence and Van der Ven. And he doesn't get there because Van der Ven is just far too quick and sharp, and it's cleared away by Romero far side. They're going to stop this to have a look.
To me, when I initially looked, it felt like he got trodden on, Pedro Porro. Just trodden on his foot as he just tried to take it away from Reinders. But again, the threat over the top, Kudus it was that got through and caused panic, and actually Trafford did well just to stop that. It's just whether it's inside or outside the box, whether it's the contact outside as he's falling in. It's going to be tight, this one.
Yeah, we think it's just outside the penalty area, this contact between Tijani Reinders and Pedro Porro.
I mean, the touch from the replay we've got on our monitors, the touch is outside, but then half of his body's in as he's stepping inside to the penalty area.
The line belongs to the referee. The line belongs to the 18-yard box, so if it is on the line, then it's an issue. Was there a handball as Trafford came out of his penalty area as well as the ball came up?
Also, Trafford has cleaned Kudus out with his knee and possibly caught it with his arm. Whether they're going to look at that as well.
It could be a big sort of knot to unpick for Andy Madley, because he's got to look at the penalty decision. He'll probably decide, I think, that was outside the penalty area. Then he's got to look at the James Trafford coming out of his penalty area to make the high ball.
Talksport Podcast League. Outspoken with White and Jordan.
The best of White and Jordan is now available in one unmissable daily podcast.
That's going to be a bit of an issue. Just to let you know, White and Jordan back on Monday at 10 o'clock. No, they're not, because me and Crookie are doing it. But they are back on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday next week, just in case you missed that trail. And we're still waiting for a VAR decision. No VAR communication inside the stadium to suggest that they are looking at it. Our Premier League service that we have access to is not suggesting that they're looking at it either, so we play on. Sean Raggett gets an own goal as Wigan take the lead away at Millwall. Rotherham 0, Wigan 1. Here's Brennan Johnson clipping it over the top on the right hand side as we get underway again, and Pedro Porro is back on his feet and asking to come back on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that contact was outside the penalty area. Clearly, is that left foot was outside, and then Trafford must have got enough of the ball. Yes, he took a bit of Kudus' chest with his knee, but got enough of the ball. I just thought it was really interesting when obviously the offside was given. Pep Guardiola and Kolo Touré came out of his technical area really clapping the defence. Well, no, it was wrong. You are asking a lot of these of this defence to get that absolutely perfect every time. John Stones desperately trying to keep that line, and maybe it was the wrong moment to do it.
We've seen that Trafford incident again. Are you convinced that was all legitimate?
It's difficult for Trafford when he comes out in that situation. I don't think he goes in, as in continues his momentum into the player. He holds his position but brings himself higher. I think that makes the difference, and then he gets the touch.
Well, Manchester City's decision-making in the final third hasn't been perfect so far. They've got good opportunities, but they've surrendered the lead here to Tottenham, who have gone in front. They lead by a goal to nil. It's Papsar down the left-hand side, fed by Richarlison. Now moving towards the edge of the penalty area once again. Across comes Ryan Cherky. He wins it and manages to get it forward to John Stones, who gives him the spiciest ball back in the right full-back position, which he was almost certainly never going to be able to deal with. And as a result of that, Tottenham have possession again.
Yeah. Again, it's just that. Just clip it in towards your centre forward. Just clip it into Haaland, who will get hold of it. He's trying to play, but there's definitely been signs. It's not worked, by the way, on this right-hand side for Manchester City between Lewis, Cherky and Oscar Bob. Spence and Johnson have had some joy. They're not able to put the pressure on, certainly on this side, Manchester City.
Well, look, Spurs had a lot of flaws last season, Dean, but none more so than this weird habit they had of scoring first but not seeing it out. They scored first 18 times in the Premier League last season. They only won 8 of those games. They got in front last week and won. They've got in front this week. Can they do it again? The ball is inside the centre circle. It's given back to Mickey van der Ven, who strides forward and shrugs off Reinders, his compatriot. 1-1 MK Dons Newport County in League 2 this lunchtime. That goal coming from Nathaniel Mendez-Lang just moments ago. Ball picked up by Romero on the halfway line. He plays it out towards the right. It's collected by Porro. Porro onto Kudus. Kudus down the right-hand side. Tries to feed it into Polinia. Made a good run from the centre of midfield. He's crossed into the box. He's steered away by Ruben Diaz. Papsar's won it back from Cherky, who didn't do particularly well. Kudus has fed the ball back out to Polinia. Polinia with a low cross. It's smuggled behind and goes out for a corner over on the far side. And Tottenham Hotspur, who soaked up a bit of pressure in the opening half an hour of this game, are finishing this first half the stronger.
Yeah, again, it's just a deep run, isn't it? Paulinho running away from Cherky this time, and then he's slow on the uptake. Ryan Cherky gets dispossessed by Papsar, who puts Paulinho in again. But we wondered when they'd be tested, and this is going to be a test for City.
7 minutes going to be added on at the end of the first half. You're listening to Manchester City 0, Tottenham 1 on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Wherever it is, they're here for it. Here's the corner, taken by Kudus far side, left-footed. It's a high, arcing one, which is nodded by Richarlison against the post, but there was some pushing going on inside the penalty area, which the referee wasn't particularly happy with. So Gonzalez wants to get things moving quickly, so he goes and gets a ball, gives it to Kudus, then retrieves the other ball that Richarlison was trying to send that way, puts it behind, and will get a reset and take this corner again. Lots of black shirts on the edge of the 6-yard box at the far post. A couple of them now move towards the near post. Polinia is one of those. Bentancur goes towards the near post. It leaves it for Richarlison, far post, who heads it against the back of Marmouche, but allegedly it came back off the Brazilian last, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our left.
That's one thing you will certainly get from Thomas Frank. He's making as much use of set plays as possible, and Tottenham have got the height and the aggression to attack those set plays.
And they have Andreas Gjorgsson, who was at Manchester United, bought in as a... given away stupidly by Trafford. Here's Richarlison. This should be 2-0. Polinia, it is 2-0. It's terrible from Trafford. It's a meltdown from Manchester City, and Tottenham Hotspur take full advantage. Whacked in by Polinia after Richarlison's first effort was repelled. But what on earth are Manchester City doing? Playing centrally, out from the back, from the edge of their 6-yard box to the penalty spot with so much high pressure.
Tottenham Hotspur have rammed it home. They've rammed their advantage home. They lead by 2-0.
Well, he's looked nervy, hasn't he, right from the start of the game, James Trafford. When the ball's been played to him, he's made a couple of mistakes already. He didn't get away with this one. It's awful. The pass, and it's a straight pass, and we see it a lot. It's such a difficult, nervy pass that you have to play as a goalkeeper in towards your centre midfield player that's coming really deep towards you. It was Gonzalez who wanted it to feet, but Papsar was on. He was sharp, he was alert, just to win that ball. Richarlison then just tried to take it past Trafford, who actually did well, but then it fell for Paulinho, who just smashes it through 4 Manchester City bodies to give them a 2-0 lead.
Well, everybody was laughing at Spurs this week. They ain't laughing now. It's Spurs who've got a smug smile on their face. They lead at Manchester City by 2-0. And the high pressure has worked. The idea of trying to beat that offside trap has worked. The game plan has worked for Thomas Frank. And Manchester City have played into their hands. James Trafford making the wrong selection at that point. There were so many black shirts coming towards him. He's got to lift it, hasn't he, surely?
Well, it seems easy, of course it does, but if that's the way that you've worked on things and you're asked to play as a goalkeeper, yes, you have to make your own decisions, and it was the wrong one, but ultimately his midfield players showing for him without the knowledge of Papsar being behind him, so it's poor from Gonzalez too.
Well, people will talk about what they're going to do with the goalkeeper, because Edison is watching on from the bench today, and he's been linked with a move to Galatasaray. Ortega's been linked with moves over the course of the summer. But the fact is, if they're thinking about, hold on a second, here's Cherki inside the area as the ball is headed poorly backwards by Romero, and Pedro Porro picks it up and runs it clear. I mean, Donnarumma is not the goalkeeper you want if you want to play out from the back, is he? I mean, he's not perfect with his feet, Dean. He's an excellent shot stopper, one of the best, maybe the best, but he's not great at playing out from the back with his feet, which is why they want to move him on.
No, and we heard before the game as well, he probably isn't a Pep Guardiola type goalkeeper, but at the same time, arguably him and Courtois are the two best at keeping the ball out of the back of their net.
Well, certainly City haven't been able to keep the ball out of the back of the net. They're trailing by 2-0 as Jed Spence wires into Oscar Bob, puts it out. Referee declines to make a decision, waits for his linesman to do so. The assistant, on this near side decides that it's going to be a corner. Justin Cochran, one of the Tottenham members of staff, goes out and has a word with the fourth official on this near touchline, who is Andrew Kitchen. The protest full on deaf ears, and it's going to be a corner kick to City at the end of the first half. Ball in towards the near post, headed away by Pedro Porro, and it's collected by Manchester City's Rico Lewis on the halfway line. I was here a couple of years ago when they won by 4-2 Manchester City, but I think they were down at half time to Tottenham Hotspur in that game as well. Here is Marmouche back to Gonzalez, then on to Cherki, who clips the ball back towards the far edge of the 6-yard box as they come forward here. I think it was 2-0 in that game as well. Ake takes over. Paulinho wires into the challenge. It's out to the far side, and Reinders tries to turn. He manages to get hold of it, wanders infield, plays it on to Cherki, who sends it further wide, and City on the attack here, trying to open up the Tottenham defence. Play it into Cherki, who's immediately snuffed out by just a swarm of black jerseys. Diaz comes across. He's fighting with Kudus for the ball. He wins that, Diaz, and heads it out wide to the left. Ake into midfield and Reinders. Reinders now out to the far touchline. It's one to Marmouche, who tricks his way left and right, and then right-footed delivers the ball into the box, and he's probably thinking, I had 2 good chances to put my team in the lead before Tottenham scored. Didn't take them. They've taken theirs, and it's 2-0 to the visitors. Here's Bob wandering into the penalty area, trying to squeeze through a tight gap. They want a penalty. They're not going to get one. It goes out for another corner, though, in the 52nd minute of the game.
Taken short, though, wasn't it, by Cherki? That's clever.
And he gets hold of it and then flips it in towards the far post, and Haaland over the top from 3 yards out. How has he missed? Vicario celebrates like he's just scored, but he's absolutely furious that no one was really watching the short, quick corner on this near side and didn't deal with Brian Cherki, who very quickly managed to cause a problem for Tottenham Hotspur, and Haaland really 9 times out of 10, Dean Ashton, puts that away.
Yeah, he's just trying to glance it in, and actually he needs to get up and over the top of it, because it's a great curling ball in from Cherky just towards the goal. Vicario doesn't come out. Haaland's just got to get up higher and glance that downwards into the back of the net. It's a big chance for the big Norwegian.
I get the feeling that on Men in Black this week we might be looking at that James Trafford decision, because it looks to me, having seen it a few more times, that he leads with his right knee right into the midriff of Kudus. That might be one for half-time discussions with Reshmin Chowdhury. It is half-time here, and Tottenham Hotspur are in front. Only Liverpool have beaten Pep Guardiola more times than Tottenham, and Spurs once again are proving to be tricky opponents. 2 goals in that first half, the first from Johnson, the second from Polinia. Richarlison's got 2 assists. Thomas Frank's team are on the verge of winning back-to-back games at the Etihad. Half-time here, it's Manchester City 0, Tottenham 2.
Sam Matterface, thank you very much. Well. Who would have thought that? I've been trying, but I haven't done very well. I have to say, I did leap up every time Spurs were given one of those goals. A lot of City fans actually quick out of here to just quickly grab their snacks. I think they've seen enough of these first 45 minutes already. Dean Ashton, it's an interesting one, because in the beginning of this game, I think it took Tottenham a long time to grow into it. It was very much Manchester City on the front foot, but you have to say, 2-0 up, it's not that they don't deserve it.
No, I think they've played very much their part in that first half. And yes, Manchester City have had their chances to have been 2-0 up, but so have Tottenham, and they've taken them. And there's an organisation, there's an aggression, there's a desire about this Tottenham team that we've seen so quickly be produced by the new manager that's in Thomas Frank. And the game plan has worked. Yes, they've given away chances. You are always probably going to against Manchester City, and you have to accept that and hope that your goalkeeper saves you, which Vicario has done on a couple of occasions. But so much of that first half performance has got to be massively positive from a Tottenham perspective. I thought Paulinho and Bentancur in particular, that Ansar, that midfield trio, absolutely outstanding in that first half.
Yeah, much more solid than they certainly were last season. Much more cohesion between attack and defence, and that midfield, as you say, kind of dictating the play. It hasn't gone City's way. They lost Rayan Nouri very early on. Marmoush had a good chance. Vicario did, as you say, put in a good save. What about Vicario's opposite number then? James Trafford has had a bit of a difficult time in goal. A bit of difficulty reading the game, I think.
A little bit slow on maybe having a decision in his head of what he's going to do. It seems like he receives the pass, then he gets his head up, then he's trying to decide, rather than maybe being able to scan as a goalkeeper and as an outfield player almost, to sense where am I going to play this when it comes to me. And he's been caught a couple of times, and obviously when you're that player at the back as you are as a goalkeeper, usually your mistakes end in the ball in the back of your net, and it did do. And the pressure's going to be on, because Ederson sat on the bench watching, because Donnarumma could be somewhere of an interest to Manchester City. But that's what you have to deal with when you play for these sorts of football clubs, with the expectation that they have here. You can't make many of those, and let's hope it's a quick learning curve for him. He can deal with it mentally and put in a better second half performance.
Well, he doesn't have very long to deal with it, does it? Because it is half time, and it whizzes by very quickly. Indeed, what does City need to do in the second half then to reshape, to regroup, and then to sort of try and put some kind of a meaningful attack against this Tottenham Hotspur together?
Well, I think obviously the new way they're trying to play that high line and step up takes time, and it takes near on perfection if you're going to do it as many times as they have done. But out of possession, there are still big worries for this Manchester City team. You look at this left-hand side for Tottenham, where Jed Spencer's got the freedom to run up and down. This midfielder's not being tracked. Cherky, Reinders, Bob, Marmoush. Out of possession, you have to do more for your team. The Tottenham players are. The Tottenham forward
They're really
players
good off the ball, aren't they?
Are doing their jobs. The City forwards aren't doing their jobs defensively, and that's still got to be a big worry, really, for this City side.
Yeah, still evolving, aren't they, this new look Manchester City side, but it looks as though this new look Tottenham Hotspur side under Thomas Frank have followed instructions pretty much to the T. So at half time it is Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. 2. Bit of breaking news to bring you, actually, before our 3 o'clock games. Brentford's Johan Wissa is not expected to play today against Aston Villa. Now, the striker, as we know, has been trying to force a move to Newcastle, who had a bid rejected for him last week. So definitely a one to watch, that one. Adrian Durham will be keeping you across all the action in the Premier League and the EFL at 3 o'clock, including that game, Brentford against Aston Villa at the G-Tech. Don't forget that Jeff Stelling and Ali McCoist will be back on Talksport Breakfast from Monday at 6 a.m. I don't know how they do all those early starts, but they do it. They'll be reacting to all the big stories in the Premier League this weekend, and of course building up to Talksport's exclusive Premier League commentary of Newcastle against Liverpool on Monday evening. Another big saga of another big striker trying to force a move between the two clubs. We'll see how that gets on. A big story developing here at the Etihad as well. As we know, it is Manchester City 0, Spurs 2, and the second half is coming up next.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now, like Arsenal versus Leeds United live today. Search Now Sports 18+, stream via internet. Terms apply.
We all fantasize about our perfect home, watching the big game cozied up in the snug. Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
You've reached the final level. The Spicy McNuggets side mission. Maximum flavour, crispy crunch, and a spicy dip with a kick.
Are you ready?
Spicy McNuggets, for a limited time only. Until the 9th of September 25. Fees apply to delivery. Participation and price may vary. Subject to availability. Serving times apply.
At Betfair, we believe that to play different, you need the right tools. The boots, the world-class tactics, the science-backed nutrition. The pros have their tools, and with Betfair, so do you. Our safer gambling tools work just like the right pair of boots, designed to keep you on top of your game. Open the Betfair app to equip yourself so you can bet at your best. Betfair. Play different.
18+, begambleaware.org.
Football is back and it's game on. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
Incredible scenes here at the Village Hotel's Pub and Grill. Fans are taking their place in the fan zone with stadium-style seating, amazing views on huge screens, and we're underway. Lovely bit of dribbling there as she tackles the burger stack. Now they're getting down the wings. Sticky barbecue. Unbelievable. Oh, and he's hit the bar. And it's there. His favourite ice-cold beer. What a result. Catch every game live in the Pub and Grill at Village. Get in. Find out more at villagehotels.com.
Summer fashion announcement. Stripes are in, darling. Oh, and also florals. Groundbreaking, we know. Pastels and block colors, too. Basically, you choose. From breathable floral duvet sets to modular wardrobes and stripy block-out blinds, IKEA has hundreds of new summer products to let summer in. Fabulous. Visit IKEA online or in store. IKEA. The wonderful everyday.
Screwfix Sprint delivers from store to door in as little as 20 minutes. You've finally found that perfect parking spot and you're ready to start work. But wait, you need a replacement part that's not in your van. Don't sweat it and don't move the van. Get moving on your job and we'll sprint over with exactly what you need before you can say, where's my spirit level? Screwfix Sprint delivers in as little as 20 minutes. Only $4.99 and only on the app. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply. Selected products.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
The football animal is alive. Game day exclusive on Talksport.
You are listening to Game Day exclusive live on Talksport. We are at the Etihad. It is our 12:30 Premier League kickoff. It is half-time here in Manchester. And this is the scoreline. Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. What a performance so far from Spurs. Goals from Brennan Johnson and then Paulinho in those last moments of added time. Really difficult one for poor James Trafford in goal, looking really shaky so far in this game. City really do have a big turnaround into this second half. That one's coming up next. Over on Talksport 2, don't forget we have our championship game where it's currently Charlton 0, Leicester City 0. Elsewhere in the second tier, it's Hull City 0, Blackburn Rovers 1, and Watford are away at Swansea and they're leading by a goal to 0. Now in League 1, it's Luton 0, Cardiff 0, Rotherham 0, Wigan 1, and in League 2, Newport County 1, MK Dons 1, and Walsall are beating Salford by a goal to 0. They're leading at the moment at home. Okay, so with everything that we've been hearing from Betfair and throughout the week and everyone predicting a Manchester City win, it's interesting to see how the odds may have changed after that first half. Let's get the latest from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage.
Odds update on Talksport with Betfair. Play in a different league this season with Safe Sum from Betfair. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
James Mackey, can't say I'm not delighted as a Tottenham fan, but obviously it all could change in the next 45 minutes. How have the odds changed? Because you had this one down, or your team had this one down as a Manchester City win.
Yeah, great start for Spurs, isn't it, Reshmin? But we did talk ahead of the game, didn't we, about Tottenham's record at the Etihad and just in general against City. And it is showing again, look, the visitors are now 4-9 to take all 3 points in this game, having been as big as 9-2 before kick-off. City have it all to do to get back in the game. They were a really short price at 1-2, but now out to 11-2 to win the game in the second half. But however, I've got to remind you that the draw is very much still on the cards. We saw it, that Spurs did this in the Super Cup final, didn't we, Reshmin, against PSG? Yep. And the draw can be backed at 7-2 in the second half. Just looking at some of the players to watch out for in the second half, well, I was really taken with Omar Marmoush. In the first 45 minutes, he was really sharp, involved in everything good that City did. He's 13-5 to score any time and 8-5 to either score or assist in the game. Haaland, he hasn't really clicked, has he, in that first half, but he had that huge chance just before half-time. He's now out to 6-5 to score any time, having been 8-13 pre-game. Well, we've got to mention Spurs, haven't we? And especially Brennan Johnson, who got the first to get the breakthrough for Spurs. He's now 8-1 to grab a second in the match. And Richarlison, well, he's just been involved in both goals and everything good for Spurs, with obviously 2 assists. But I tell you what, to round off his day, he's 13-2 if he was to get a goal in the second half. And Reshman, just before I go, just looking at the charity bet builder who plays pre-game. Well, effectively, we need a City comeback. I know you might not want to hear that, obviously, with being a Spurs fan, but if we get a City comeback, that would be the over 3.5 goals. City would win, and we need Reinders to either score or assist. So a big second half needed. But look, we've seen it before from Spurs, haven't we, unfortunately for you?
Yeah, we have seen it before, but we have seen this from City last season as well, so who knows which way it goes. James Mackey, as always, thank you very much. That odds update is all thanks to Betfair. Returns accurate as of 10 minutes ago. For verification, see betfair.com. Over 18s only, conditions apply. Please do check out gambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Betfair. Play in a different league this season with Safe Sum from Betfair. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Now, following us at 2:30, as ever, the Adrian Durham. Forget about it. We'll be taking you around the grounds with all the goals as they go in the Premier League and EFL. Adrian is at Turf Moor today for Burnley against Sunderland, 2 teams that have just come up. They probably didn't want to meet so soon into the new Premier League season, but there we go. Burnley well beaten 3-0 by Spurs last weekend. Sunderland, huge victory at home against West Ham, 3-0 as well. So how do you see this one going?
Well, I think this is crucial because Burnley, with that defeat, need to win. Sunderland, if they get back-to-back wins to start the season, will be feeling super confident. I think it's going to be a terrific game between two sides who really need to go for it. Burnley's home form is going to be absolutely crucial this season, Reshman. But I'm going to point you to Scott Parker's programme notes. And the headline of those programme notes from Scott Parker says, "We have an amazing group of humble, hard-working lads with an incredible spirit." And if ever a manager's notes said we're going down this season, that's it.
Oh dear, we don't want to think like that, do we? Well, we've got an old well, not that old, but a Burnley alumni here in goal between the sticks for Manchester City. It's not going too well for him, but I can't say, of course, City aren't going to go down. But there's another game that you're going to be watching at 3 p.m, a really interesting one. Johan Visser not playing for Brentford. So Brentford taking on Aston Villa at the G-Tech, also at 3 o'clock. So you'll be right across that one. How much indication of that is that Visser might be edging towards a move away from the G-Tech?
Well, it's going to happen, isn't it? He doesn't want to play for them anymore. He's made that clear. I think the Isaac situation might move after Liverpool play Newcastle at St James Park, live on Talksport Monday night. And if the Isaac situation moves, the Visser situation may well move as well. But it's not a problem for Keith Andrews. He knew that this was the situation. He probably knew that Visser wasn't going to be playing for him, certainly before the window closed, and probably he'd be gone by the time the window closed as well. So for Keith Andrews, he would have been planning without him anyway, so not a big problem. Quick one on James Trafford with that goal. The second one, he got Diaz to his right, Stones to his left. He can knock it over the top to Marmoush, who's free in the middle of the park. I mean, it's a simple one, and he's played over 150 first-team games. Must do better.
Must do better. It's a steep learning curve when you're in the Premier League, isn't it? As you're about to find out in your game at Turf Moor against Burnley and Sunderland. Thank you very much, Adrian, as always, here at the Etihad. The second half is about to kick off. Spurs were out early on the pitch, in position, ready to go, and City have just taken their spots as well. The second half is about to kick off. I'm going to hand you back to Dean Ashton and Sam Nutface.
Yeah, lots of goals going in the EFL. I'll update you on those in just a moment. We start the second half with Manchester City attacking the goal away to our left. The two goals that Tottenham scored were in that net in the first half. They lead by 2-0, and Tottenham in black shorts and socks attacking the goal away to our right there. Supporters have come up from London today, and they've made a journey that so far has been fruitful. In fact, they are the first team since Sunderland between 1980 and 2000 to score 2 goals or more in 5 consecutive top-flight away games against Manchester City. And when that run for Sunderland started, a 20-year-old Ali McCoist scored in one of those games, a 2-2 draw at Main Road in October 1982. And Ali McCoist joins Jeff Stelling back on breakfast on Monday morning from 6 o'clock. We're underway here. It's still 2-0 to Tottenham. Tottenham and City have made no changes at the start of the second half, and the ball is on the far side with Jed Spence combining with Richarlison. Richarlison goes down, the advantage is played. Spence continues to run into the left wing position, looks to try and take on Rico Lewis and Cherky, and then feeds it infield, trying to find Brennan Johnson. Richarlison's back on his feet now, but he's hobbling. He wasn't happy about that challenge, and it goes back to John Stones at the heart of the Manchester City defence. Leicester have taken the lead. Abdul Fatawu has scored the opener away at Charlton. Hull City are now 3-0 down to Blackburn Rovers. Todd Cantwell with the latest of a trio of goals for Valerian Ismail's side away from home. And MK Dons are leading Newport. They were 1-0 down. They've come back there, leading by 2-1. And in League One, Wigan still 1-0 up against Rotherham. We'll give you all of the results. Watford still leading Swansea by a goal to nil in just a few moments. But Oscar Bob has it over on the far side, and he's got there ahead of Kudus and managed to feed it back into the path of Gonzalez. And Manchester City are starting to wander forward with Bob again on the ball, back into Gonzalez. Lovely little run by Rico Lewis, whose reverse ball comes to Aki inside the area, doesn't hit it first time, and that allows Polinia to come across and block the effort. If it had been anybody else, Josko Gvardiol probably would have hit it. Any of the forward players probably would have hit it. Aki wanted to wait for it to come onto his left foot. By the time he'd waited, that ball from Lewis had come across the penalty area, then across his body, and Polinia had managed to get in a vital block. Get Dean Ashton on that in just a second, but City is still putting the foot to the floor on the accelerator as they come back towards the edge of the area. Cherky, Lewis, round the corner, away by Richarlison helping, but they can't get it clear, Dean.
No, they can't. It's a really bright start, as you would expect, for Manchester City. And you're right, Ake needed to do things a lot quicker than he did. Ambled towards it, took it onto his left foot. Paulinho, absolutely brilliant, by the way. And a massive fist pump as well, knowing what a big block that was.
Well, Manchester City have got Trafford in goal. He's been at the centre of the action. Lewis, Stones, Diaz, and now Ake the back four because of an injury to Aït-Nouri. Gonzalez, Reinders and Cherky in midfield. Bob and Marmoush who was in the thick of the action in the first half in terms of an attacking sense, but didn't take a couple of big chances. And Erling Haaland, who missed an absolute sitter at the end of the first half as well. Tottenham have Vicario in goal, Pedro Porro at right back, Romero, Van der Ven and Spence on the left, Sarr, Palhinha and Bentancur, and Johnson, Richarlison and Kudus going forward. Ball snapped away by the Tottenham defence, and it's run to halfway. Strong tackle by Romero on Gonzalez, and the two of them, after doing battle, slap hands as the ball spills out of the pitch into this near side. And we're seeing and have seen a lot of replays of that James Trafford coming out of his penalty area and trying to win the ball. It does look like he's led with the knee right into the body of Kudus, and he might be a little bit lucky there, because it does look like a foul.
Yeah, it's just whether that knee is actually part of what gets a touch on the ball for James Trafford, which I don't think it does. I think it's his chest in the end for the goalkeeper, so he is fortunate. I mean, that is how goalkeepers have tended to come out for many, many years, but it's been looked at more and more in those situations now in terms of endangering the attacker.
So it could be worse for Manchester City. They could find themselves in a situation where they didn't have James Trafford for the rest of this game, because also he leaves his foot, so the knee makes contact and he leaves his foot in between Kudus' legs. 5 minutes gone at the start of the second half. It is Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Trafford kicks it long this time, but it's too far away from Cherki and runs into the inside left channel as City look at it, and it's gobbled up by Vicario and he clears it away. Thomas Frank has won here before. He led Brentford to a 2-1 victory at the Etihad when he was B's boss, November 2022. We were all here for that one just before the World Cup. He's looking to join an exclusive club today, and he's only 40 minutes away from doing so. Only two other managers have beaten Pep Guardiola away in the league with two clubs. Jose Mourinho did it with Real Madrid and Manchester United. Antonio Conte did it with Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur, who have made a habit of coming here and pulling up the trees. Here is Reinders into Cherki. First time ball out to Gonzalez, spreading the play wide to Oscar Bob, who gets down the right side of the penalty area. City on the attack, trying to get it into the box is Reinders. Reinders wanders forward, chips his way past one and then another, and then runs into Jed Spence, who repels him and clears the ball to halfway.
Yeah, but they're resolute, aren't they, Tottenham? Defensively, very well organised. They've got a desire about them individually and as a unit. It's going to take some good play from Manchester City to break it down.
And if anyone can do it, it is Manchester City, with Bob, Cherki into the area. Reinders lurking on the edge again. Across goes Brennan Johnson this time to help out, but Gonzalez wins it back. Bob into the centre. Haaland, it was a bit behind him, and it then goes into the box and cleared away by Spurs. But it's all Manchester City at the start of this second half, where it's still 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. Brennan Johnson and João Palhinha with the goal. Richarlison's been credited with one assist. He probably deserves more than that. The second goal was definitely down to him as well, because it was his pressing. The ball came back to him. His effort went into the path of Palhinha and he fired it in. He doesn't get an assist for it, but he was a major asset for Tottenham Hotspur in that scenario. The scrutiny will be on James Trafford because his pass selection was wrong, but they've got to try and make up for it some way, find a way back into this game. And Tottenham, what they can't do is give them a way back into the game, and they've given it away inside their own penalty area. It's picked up by Cherki, trying to poke it home. Across comes Bentancur, and a foul is given against Cherki on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Vicario doing his James Trafford impression, trying to give the ball away from inside the 6-yard box. And Manchester City couldn't punish Tottenham on this occasion, but surely that's got to be a warning.
But also it was like the panic on his face, as if he couldn't play that forwards. Oh, I can't clip that in towards my forward players. I surely can't. I have to play it to my centre-back, who's not ready and really doesn't want it, but he fired it in anyway, and it was a poor pass for Van der Ven, who couldn't quite get a hold of it. And then Haaland's pass just needs to be better.
Here's Spence at the other end for Tottenham Hotspur as they come into the penalty area, attacking the Manchester City goal for the first time at the start of the second half. Into the box it goes. Flick on towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Richarlison trying to get on the end of Pat Sarr's flick on, but couldn't do so. And then he gets into a little bit of a scruffy scrap with Ruben Diaz. And the free kick is given in favour of Manchester City. Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur
2. We're about to have Bernardo Silva come into the fray here, and Jeremy Doku, who is also about to come on. I'll tell you about these substitutions. Let's quickly find out who's coming off. Rayan Cherki is one of those. And he's the first one to depart the scene. The other one is Omar Marmoush. So let's go off to the Vitality Stadium and find out who Andoni Iraola and Victor Pereira have picked in their 3 o'clock kickoff. Alex Crook.
Well, Bournemouth unchanged from the side that lost at Liverpool on the opening night of the season. Ben Gannon Doak and Amin Adli both on the bench, having signed this week. One change for Wolves. John Arias makes his full Premier League debut. Andre is the player who makes way. It's Bournemouth against Wolves.
You've heard Scott Parker's programme notes from Adrian Durham. So what's going to happen on the team sheet? Mickey Gray.
Yeah, it's just 2 changes for Burnley for their whole game again in the Premier League this season. Oliver Son and Josh Laurent move to the bench. Brun Larson and Ugachuk will come into the starting 11. One change for Regis Labrie, Sunderland, after their win against West Ham at the weekend. Gentle Seat, he moves out the starting 11, and in comes Alderete from Turf Moor. It's Burnley against Sunderland.
Back here, Manchester City in possession and progressing down the right-hand side with Oscar Bob. He overruns it. That allows Van der Ven to get it clear, and then Spurs look to go on the counter-attack. And Brennan Johnson teases the ball over Ake's head and looks for the run of Kudus, who gets there and then attacks into the right wing position. Ake comes across, deals with the situation well, hooks it over Kudus' head, but Polinia will win it back and then send it forward into Porro and then get it back from Porro, and that's good play by Tottenham Hotspur, who've played well, resolute at the back. They've looked sturdy, apart from when Vicario's tried to pass it to a blue shirt. But they've looked solid when Manchester City are camped on the edge of their own penalty area, trying to pick them apart, Dean Ashton.
Yeah, they have. And I said it, that trio in midfield, especially Bentancur and Paulinho just sitting in front, absolutely outstanding. And then Pape Sarr with his pressing, just brilliant. Just the energy and the intelligence in the pressing.
And they've won the ball again on halfway. Doku was knocked to the floor by the severity of the challenge from Paulinho, but he's got back up now. Porro with a cross into the box. Richarlison arriving. He heads it into the back of the defender, who did well enough. I think it was Rico Lewis who followed him in there and did just about enough. Or was it actually... it was Rico Lewis who followed him in there. He did just enough to put him off, because I tell you what, that was a mismatch at the far post, and it was a swirling cross from the right-hand side from Pedro Porro. A really good delivery, and Richarlison getting right high above Rico Lewis, who just about did enough to put him off.
Yeah, I'm struggling just to know if this is great defending from Rico Lewis, or actually Richarlison's got to be stronger and get that forearm right on top of his neck and make sure you're on top of him and you guide the header. I actually think Richarlison makes a little bit of a mess of it in the end, because I think he's above Rico Lewis.
Did he misjudge it slightly? Was it a little bit further ahead of him than he initially felt?
I think it ended up being a bit lower. Yes, he's being put off by Rico Lewis, who's done everything he can to make it difficult for him, but I think he's got to be stronger there.
City in trouble again, because Spurs have won the ball and they've turned it over on the counter-attack here, and it's 5-on-4 in Tottenham's favour, and Johnson has wasted it from the edge of the box. Well, he's overhit that, he's rushed the effort, he sent it over the top of the crossbar. He should have played in one of the other members of his team that had made it up to the edge of the box. City were outnumbered, City were backpedalling, and Spurs didn't make them pay. Let's go off to the G-Tech, because Keith Andrews is taking charge of his first Premier League game at home today, and Ian Abrahams has all of the team news.
Johan Visser in the Brentford squad today, but there are debuts for Jordan Henderson and Dango Ouattara. Sade and Damsgaard coming as well. As for Villa, Martinez back in goal, and Pau Torres replaces the band concert. It's Brentford against Villa here at the G-Tech.
You're listening to Talksport. Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0 on Talksport with Sky Sports. Don't forget, with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly, like Arsenal versus Leeds, live today. Search Now Sports. Here's Pape Sarr in the middle of the Manchester City half, lends it to Johnson and gets it back again, goes wide to the left, and Jed Spence as Tottenham come on the attack once more. We're almost at the hour mark, and Tottenham are leading by 2-0 in the Premier League, and they're leading for the second time in 2 seasons at Manchester City. They've got City's number here at the Etihad. It's been going on for a very long time. Manchester City have only won 4 of the last 12 meetings between the two. Bernardo Silva wins it, dispossessed by compatriot Paulinho. Lovely bent ball out to Johnson from Richarlison, but his heavy touch has taken him away.
and it allowed Stones to come across and cover the ground and poke it out to the far side. But Tottenham do look a threat when they turn the ball over, and as Manchester City try to be more aggressive as they go in hunt of trying to shut down this deficit, Dean Ashton, that leaves opportunity for Spurs.
Yeah, again, just that aggression out of possession for Tottenham has been rewarded with opportunities that they should be taking more of. Brennan Johnson, the touch has just got to be better. Richarlison plays it out towards him. It's just a heavy touch. At this level, that touch has got to be crisp, out of your feet, giving yourself an opportunity to take the strike in front of James Trafford. He didn't. But so far, again in this second half, Manchester City have actually been really poor again out of possession. They're just offering very little in terms of their forward players and midfield players. And you can really see the difference between them and Tottenham.
Well, Tottenham has certainly been very good out of possession, winning the ball back, causing problems, and they've won the ball back here. Again, Kudus this time working incredibly hard, but being bumped off the ball by Doku. And actually, Doku was in possession, but because of the presence of Kudus, he just sort of made a mistake, forced into an error, gave away a free kick, and he's now 12 yards short of the City penalty area. A free kick wide on this right-hand side, and another opportunity for Tottenham Hotspur to craft something.
But again, it's so noticeable that Thomas Frank has got this desire from the forward players, and it helps the team massively. If as a group, as a forward group, you can win that ball back, you can make it difficult for City to build attacks.
Well, here is the free kick on this near touchline. It's about 10 yards in from the near touchline, and it's sort of level with where the penalty area ends. So it's a bit further out, a chance to drop the ball towards the back post. Pedro Porro does that. Underneath it was Richarlison, looping to the far post, and it lands on the roof of the net and goes out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Another opportunity. Well, it's been a big day in the Championship already. Leicester lead Charlton by a goal to nil. That's currently on Talksport 2. Blackburn 3-0 up against Hull away from home. Swansea, who have been pretty good at home over the back end of last season and the start of this, trailed by a goal to nil. Wrexham plays Sheffield Wednesday on Talksport 2 at 3 o'clock, and Talksport's Ian Danter will be there.
Championship, Wrexham give a start to Nathan Broadhead, one of their recent big money signings from Ipswich. Longman in for Barnett is the other change. Beleaguered Wednesday make 4 changes, including Horvath in goal, having just come in on loan for the injured Charles. I'll take Bayo, Fazire and Lowe also miss out, so Kabatsky, McNeil, they come into the starting lineup as well as Ugbo. It's live on TalkSport 2, Wrexham against Sheffield Wednesday.
They're winding up for a long throw here, Tottenham Hotspur. Cheers, Dance. It's Kudus, who then decides to go short and get it back off Pedro Porro, then left-footed, sends the ball deep to the far post. Richarlison with another looping header, another one that heads to the back post and just misses. Tottenham getting that chance to throw the ball into the box, because again, in possession, from a chance to play out from the back, they gave the ball away, Manchester City.
Oh, but the press from Tottenham, it was started by Mickey van der Ven. It was him that went from his position as centre-back. He followed Haaland in a certain amount. It went back to James Trafford. Van der Ven sprinted towards James Trafford, put him under pressure, and then beyond that, the second layer of Papsar, then of Kudus, and they just passed it out of play, Manchester City, because of that press. It's outstanding from Tottenham.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Without the ball, they've been absolutely superb, Tottenham Hotspur. Actually, with the ball, they haven't been as good when trying to play out from the back, but when they've elected to send it long and try and use Richarlison as a platform from which to build off, they've done excellently when the turnover has come and when City have been playing out from the back. And they lead by 2-0. They've taken their chances as well ruthlessly. Here's Doku down the left-hand side. He's taken the ball too far down that left-hand side. He's run out of room, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Cardiff have taken the lead away from home against Luton, and they're in front just 20 minutes into the second half, and Cardiff City in front at Kenilworth Road this afternoon.
I mean, it's a big difference, isn't it, watching this Tottenham side already out of possession, and just the strength they have defensively. I mean, we're over an hour in, and I've already put something that if I was tortured with, I'd just give up the information, which is having to play against Van der Ven and Spence. I mean, the pace those two have got, they are giving you nothing. I'd have absolutely nothing to do with that, thank you.
What information have you got to give up, Dean?
You'd have to put me between them two, and then I'll give it up.
27 to go. It's 2-0 to Manchester City. Tottenham tactically been very good today. And again, we knew it was going to be adaptable. We knew it was going to change, and we thought that would be the case. At the beginning of the programme, we mentioned it. They did well without the ball against PSG, but they also got to this stage and were leading against PSG by 2-0, and then found themselves on the wrong end of a result. What they've got to do is show that resilience to maintain this right the way through to the 90-minute mark.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll want to make changes and freshen things up defensively, Thomas Frank, but at the moment he's probably just really pleased with how it looks and doesn't want to make a change, as Haaland looked like he's struggling with something. He's not moving particularly well, Erling Haaland.
The whole City team haven't been moving particularly well. They've made poor decisions in front of goal. And I was listening to James Mackey say, Marmoush, impressive, caught the eye in the first half. He was great, but then he'd get in front of goal and he'd make just the last action was not the right one. And that's not what you associate with Manchester City.
No, it's not. But also that, I think out of possession has shocked me the most. I think you always expect that zip to their play, which they've had, but it's out of possession. They have to be better. It's what caused them such issues last season.
It's a familiar tale. So many times last year they conceded goals because of that. Haaland's missed chances as well today. Marmoush isn't the only one who's guilty by any stretch of the imagination. But when they lose the ball, crikey, when they give it away so cheaply, you're asking for trouble. And Rodri warming up away to our left-hand side. I mean, Pep Guardiola can't get him back into the team quick enough. Ball sent long by Vicario. I mean, and it's obvious, when he's not in the team, he is central to their style. He's constantly on the ball. He's always knitting possession together. Without him, they don't control the midfield. They don't retain the shape as well as they do when he's in the team. And it always leaves them being vulnerable to being overrun when he's not there. Here is Bob down the right-hand side, trying to jink his way into a crossing position. He looks to get the cross, and it's blocked by Jed Spence, and it goes out and away for a goal kick. Also there's always a dip in performance when he's not in the team. They win around 74% of the Premier League games that he plays in, but that drops significantly when he steps out. Archie Gray comes over towards this near side. Does look as if they're going to make a couple of big changes. Dominic Solanke is being spoken to by Thomas Frank. Lucas Bergval's just come in from his warm-up as well. Wilson Odobert is also down there too. Tottenham thinking about making changes to this team as we reach the 77-minute mark. This is Talksport. Here is Bernardo Silva down the left. Across comes Kudus. Excellent. Just absolutely superb. Winning the ball back in the right full-back position. Excellent work rate, excellent tenacity, and then when they get the ball, they almost use it brilliantly, but Brennan Johnson just wandered into an offside position, and Palhinha's attempt to switch the play and get it out to him meant that he couldn't chase it because he knew it was offside and it goes out of play.
And that is frustrating when a team plays that high line. You get caught offside quite a few times if you're lazy as a forward and you don't get back into position.
Good Zeepin as well, Pat Sarr winning the ball back for Tottenham and then sending it into the heart of the defence. Immediately Palhinha sends it out towards the wide right position looking for Richarlison. And just look at the press that goes on here, because Palhinha was deep inside his own half. When that ball went out of play as Richarlison didn't use it properly, he then sprinted to ensure that he put pressure on Bernardo Silva so that Silva wasn't an option for James Trafford, and he had to move even deeper and eventually did to pick the ball up.
Obviously that is desire, but you have to give credit to the management and the coaching team for that, because they're the things that you'll see or watch videos on leading up to these games as to if we can sense that, can we go and press? Certain players will be green light players that you go and press because they maybe aren't as athletic like Bernardo Silva. It's all what players are learning throughout the week.
Tijani Reinders out towards the right side. Oscar Bob tries to take on Romero. Romero goes flying in for the challenge over on the far side. I think he left the ground there and he gets himself a yellow card and he gives away a free kick in the sort of position of a short hockey corner.
He's a little unlucky. I mean, it was so aggressive, the challenge, which is why the referee's assistant on the far side gives the foul because of the aggression of the challenge. But he gets some of the ball, Romero. And yes, he gets a chunk of Oscar Bob. I'm not quite sure that's a yellow card, just for the aggression.
Well, that's what Peter Banks has produced, and it is a free kick over on the far side, which, again, Bernardo Silva is going to take. And Tottenham Hotspur looking to defend their goal away to our left, trying to hold off a Manchester City comeback. Can they craft one? A team that were almost perennial champions of England at the turn of the decade. Here is the ball from Bernardo Silva into the near post, and it's floated off the head of, I think, Ruben Diaz. I think it was just nicked by Mickey van der Ven, who got there ahead of the Portuguese and sent wide of the goal. Dean Ashton.
Yeah, well, he's getting high fives, Van der Ven, so he must just about do enough. It's a wicked delivery in from Bernardo Silva, right in between the Tottenham defence and Vicario, who can't come towards it, and Van der Ven just gets something on it in the end. It's a brilliant header.
Here is the corner taken by Reinders in towards the near post. Ake flicks it on. It cannons off the chest of Bentancur and goes behind and away for a third successive corner to Manchester City, who are trying to put pressure on, trying to force a way back into this game. Reinders will take it again near touchline. Haaland to Amat. Diaz in there as well. There's a bit of pushing and shoving going on rather aggressively. Vicario comes out and punches. Comes back to Lewis, who smashes it into the top tier of the North Stand behind the goal away to our left-hand side. And it goes out for a goal kick, and then Gonzalez and Richarlison exchange words. There's a bit of bumping of the chest between the two. And there's a knot of players in the middle of the Tottenham half who start to confront one another and exchange strong words. Richarlison's never going to be one to shy away from a little bit of conflict.
Yeah, there's been a bit of that, not just with Gonzalez, but also Diaz and Stones at time with Richarlison. He plays on the edge. That is what I think he is, and maybe that gets the best out of himself when he is in that manner. What you can't criticise is his work off the ball, and of course his contribution in the game.
What is it about Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester City? Spurs scored 4 goals here last year, 3 goals here the year before, 2 the year before that, 3 the year before that. There's something inherent in Spurs that City don't like. They've got 2 here this afternoon, and they're 20 minutes away from losing their first home game of the season. Rotherham lead Wigan by 2 goals to 1 in League One. Elsewhere today in the EFL, games that are already underway. In the Championship, Blackburn lead Hull 3-0. In our live game on Talksport 2, Charlton 1-0 down to Leicester going into the final 16 minutes. Swansea City losing at home to Watford. In League 1, Luton 0, Cardiff 1. Rotherham 2, Wigan 1. In League 2, Newport behind after taking the lead against the MK Dons by 2 goals to 1. And Walsall still lead Salford by a goal to 0. Tottenham leading here by 2 goals to 0. And for the latest odds, you can head to Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get City to win the game at 16 to 1. The draw is 6 to 1. Spurs are 6 to 1 on to win it. It's all thanks to Betfair. Playing a different league this season with Safe Sub from Betfair, 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. This is TalkSport, and we've got live football for you. Not only later on today with Wrexham Sheffield Wednesday on 2, but we've got Monday Night Football. The only place to hear Newcastle against Manchester United is here on TalkSport. Get our app, download it. You can watch all of the shows. You can see all the clips, all the great bits of content that we generate over the course of the week. Simon Jordan and Jamie O'Hara, Jeff Stelling, Ali McCoy, all the big names on that TalkSport app. Download it. Here the ball has been won by Tottenham. They've turned it over and Richarlison has sent it wide out to the left. Tottenham looking to further their lead with Brennan Johnson scurrying into the left wing position. Gives it to Pap Sarr. Sarr back out to Johnson again. Johnson into Bentancur, and he sweeps it all the way back to Van der Ven. And Tottenham looking to hold possession and hold on to this result. City finished 3rd last season. I think it's a measure of how consistent they've been that it was the lowest finish in 8 years. Fewest points, fewest wins, fewest goals, most goals conceded in a season under Pep Guardiola in 24-25. There were signs at the Club World Cup that they were getting back to what looked like their best, and last week they looked pretty good, but they did look vulnerable, and they're looking vulnerable here to a high ball over the top, which Trafford comes for and gets nowhere near, and Pap Sarr almost beat him to it. Another heart in the another heart-in-the-mouth moment for James Trafford.
Well, he just doesn't judge the flight of the ball, does he, James Trafford? Gets nowhere near, and he's so fortunate. It's a great ball by Pedro Porro, over the top again, trying to catch out that Manchester City high line. Papsar it was, and he misjudged it as well, the way it just bounced over the top of him. If not, he can head that past Trafford and just side foot that in. He's so disappointed with himself, Papsar. But look, teams are going to look at this Manchester City high line, as I would do as a forward. I mean, I would look at that, and it's like a properly filled jam donut. Every part of you just wants to bite it, jam all down your chin and your shirt, because you want to rush it. Whereas if you're patient, nibble around the edge, patient with the ball over the top, then you are going to catch them. If you're clever and you're patient with the movement, as Tottenham have been at times, that's when you will get the joy.
Do get sticky fingers, though, if you hold on to it for too long.
I'll take it. Just don't wear a white t-shirt.
There's lots of people sitting in their cars up and down the country with an image of Dean Ashton munching on a jam donut, probably with jam dribbling down his face.
And caught offside.
It's one of those things you put into an AI image generator. You never know what's going to come out. Gonzalez off, Oscar Bob off, Rodri on, Foden on. Is this the rescue team? They're going to drag City out of the fire because they haven't got long. 15 minutes to go. There's a big response for the return of Rodri, but he's got a lot of work to do in the next 15 minutes if they're to get out of this hole.
And he's just been reluctant until now. Thomas Frank, 2 mate changes. He's been pressed with almost the control they've had over Manchester City in the second half. They've given them very little, certainly in the last 10 minutes or so. In fact, they've been looking like they're the ones that will get the third goal.
Here is Doku down this left-hand side, trying to feed the ball into Phil Foden, who's just come off the bench for his first appearance of the campaign. Doesn't get there, it's tucked behind by Romero, and it's away for a corner kick. Ange Postecoglou is keen to return to Premier League management. Talksport understands in the last few moments. Bit of breaking news for you. Postecoglou high on Nottingham Forest's wanted list if they decide to sack Nuno Espirito Santo following his public fallout with owner Evangelos Marinakis. More on Game Day Live with Alex Crook at 2:30 as the ball goes into the box towards the far post. Rodri's first effort is a header planted straight at the goalkeeper.
It's a free header as well for Rodri. Wouldn't that have been typical? Foden with the corner, Rodri with the header into the back of the net, but it was straight at Vicario. Had the power.
Richarlison, who has run himself into the ground, I think is about to be replaced by Solanke on this near side. Hotspur is coming on as well. They want to make 2 changes here, Tottenham, as they edge into the final 14 minutes of this game. Thomas Frank just having a word with a number of his staff, and then just going over to Bentancur, who's come to the near touchline. It was a good corner from Foden, wasn't it? And Rodri high up above everybody else. Johnson is coming off for Hotspur. That was a change that was made last week as well. And Richarlison off and Solanke on. And the bad news for Manchester City in this circumstance, though, Dean Ashton, is that Hotspur, and in particular Solanke, great at pressing from the front.
Yeah, you can see he obviously doesn't want to change anything defensively, but he just wants that energy out of possession, which they certainly give you. Solanke, for me, last season was the best forward out of possession in terms of that work rate and intelligence to bring on him, and also Hotspur as well with his energy and pace.
Johnson with a goal last week and a goal here at Manchester City this week. He's off and running again after such a productive campaign last season. He takes his seat in the bench. 18 goals last season, 2 already this for Johnson, and Richarlison's had a major part in what Tottenham Hotspur have done here today, and they lead by 2-0 going into the final 12 minutes of the game. Manchester City have made their substitutions now, all 5 of them. So what they have on the field has to try and get them out of this situation. Ake, back to Rodri. Rodri deep inside his own half. Plays it into the penalty area for Stones, who's immediately under pressure from the Tottenham forward line. Solanke gets something on it. There's a challenge by Rodri, which just edges the ball into the path of Foden. And now Doku is escaping at pace down this left-hand side. Comes on his right foot, goes on the outside on his left, pulls it back into the centre of the penalty area. What a brilliant tackle from Mickey van der Ven.
timed to perfection. Brilliant sliding intervention from the big Dutchman. It's terrific from Van de Ven, and it's stopped a certain goal for Manchester City.
Wasn't it? Outstanding, spotting the danger, coming across from that left-hand side to make sure that he's in a position, because Doku did brilliantly. I thought he was going to go down from the challenge from Pedro Porro. He didn't, and then Foden thinks he's just going to sweep this in, and Mickey Van de Ven is there, as he seems to be so often. It's not just that he's quick, it's that he senses danger. He has the awareness around him of when to go and where to go, and he was vital that he was there.
Rotherham 2, Wigan Athletic 2 is the latest scoreline from the EFL this lunchtime. And that game taking place in League One. Cardiff 1-0 up against Luton is also in that division. Hull still 3-0 down to Blackburn. Charlton over on Talksport 2, down by a Fasawu goal for Leicester. And Watford and Swansea now level pegging, 1-1 there, after Vipotnik scores an equaliser 7 minutes from time for Alan Sheehan's Swans. Here is the throw-in for Tottenham Hotspur, over on the far side. Oh, he didn't get that out of his hands at all, Mohamed Kudus, over on the far side. And a counter-attack is on here, but well done to Pedro Porro, who stopped the initial one, and then Bentancur, who stopped Reinders from being able to play the pass back out to Doku. Again, Tottenham lost the ball high up there. City threatened to break, but they were so quick to get back into shape and so quick to put pressure on the ball that it didn't cause them an issue.
No, and then look, it's having, yes, the awareness, but also the pace and the energy to get back, which Tottenham now have in their side.
We talked about the need for pace in the Premier League. A yellow card for Pedro Porro. Not what you need if he's in your fantasy team. Yellow card. Stop talking. Don't get sent off. How many points is minus to get for sending off? You're all over that.
-2.
Oh, what, for sending off?
Maybe 3.
I think it's more than that, yeah. Here is Reinders. Back to Rico Lewis. Out to the far side. Guided all the way back to Trafford, who kicks it long up through the middle of the pitch. It's headed away by Van de Ven and chested down by Bernardo Silva. Alderweireld robs him, takes it on, gets to the halfway line, looks to unsettle Rodri, unsettles Rodri, gets beyond Rodri, drags the team up down the left-hand side of the pitch. He's got Bentancur arriving as well. He's trying to get away from Bernardo Silva, who ends up outfoxing himself and puts the ball out of play and away for a throw-in over in the corner of the field. 9 minutes to go, and now I think they've said Thomas Frank's go, don't go for the long throw. You don't need to. Stay back. Van de Ven, Romero, don't overcommit. Stay back. They're going up for a long throw that they don't need to get involved in. Keep the ball.
And it's not a good one either.
It's a short one into Alderweireld instead. Kudus goes down the outside, produces a cross. Well, I think it was supposed to be a cross. It ended up ballooning out into the stand behind the goal, the south stand, and a geezer in a white sort of pullover went to try and catch it, and as he jumped up, he fell over the railings of the front row of the stand and went careering, cartwheeling over the advertising hoardings and into the photographer's pit.
There was no lack of effort there, was there? He was all in trying to get that back for his team.
I tell you what, he got back up straight away, didn't he? I think he had to, because otherwise, I mean, he still looks as if he's pretty embarrassed.
We've all been there when it hurts so bad, but you can't show it.
You just got to get on with it. You can't show any weakness. Rico Lewis coming forward. City have shown a couple of weaknesses today, giving the ball away to Spurs in vital positions, and Spurs have made them pay. They also tried to play an offside trap, which didn't work, and Spurs scored their opener from that route, and they lead 2-0 going into the final few minutes here. Ake swirling the ball to the back post, looking for Bernardo Silva, and it goes towards the far edge of the goal, the back post, but it's over the head of Vicario and lands on the roof of the net, and Haaland just positioned himself perfectly at the far post, waiting for any drop down, but it dropped on the roof of the net rather than the back post.
But again, just a couple of points. One, the work ethic of Mohamed Kudus to help out Porro against Doku, and then it goes back to Ake, who you prefer to cross that in. It was a looping cross. Poor header from Bernardo Silva.
So much live football on Talksport over the next few days. Newcastle, Liverpool, 8 o'clock Monday night. Join us for that one. Troy Deeney will be with me at St James's Park. Adrian's got a round the ground special on Tuesday night, Carabao Cup. Lots of second round action, always dramatic actually. Stuart Pearce and Scott Minto with him for that one. And with all the penalty shootouts that happen in that tournament, it's always great to follow. And we've also got Sheffield Wednesday Leeds on Talksport 2 that night. And then Wednesday night, Everton, Mansfield and Grimsby, Manchester United. A choice of listening on Talksport and Talksport 2. And you can just get our app. You can flick between those two live games. Over 500 live games this season from Talksport. 6 to go in this one here in the Premier League, with Tottenham leading by 2-0 and looking to start with back-to-back wins in the Premier League under Thomas Frank. Solanke takes it in, turns it back out to Kudus. Tottenham keeping the ball inside their own half on the edge of their own penalty area. Vicario is going to make the right selection here. Under pressure from Reinders. He kicks it clear up towards the halfway line. John Stone to the firm header. Won by Bernardo Silva. Rodri comes forward. Knits the play well. Keeps hold of it. Into Silva. Reinders again. Back to Rodri. Rodri looking to try and thrust it into Foden. Foden tries to hit it from distance, takes a deflection, bobbles up into the chest of Vicario, who's on it and will clear away. Bergvall coming on for Spurs. A lot was made of Eberechi Eze slipping through Tottenham's hands this week, and I understand it, the Tottenham fans frustrated, but I think they will be a little bit uplifted by what they've seen here today, Dean Ashton.
Well, a togetherness, isn't there, about the performance? Hasn't been one individual, has there? There's been a collective unit that have defended properly, that have also then been brilliant on the break. But, you've still got to see these games out.
Reinders out to the left. Doku takes over. He's got Haaland in the centre. He's tricking his way down the left-hand side. Plays against Pedro Porro. Goes out for a corner kick. You're listening to Manchester City 0, Tottenham 2 on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book at enterprise.co.uk. Bergvall on. Kudus on. So Kudus is replaced and Bergvall comes on in his stead, wearing 15. Still only 19 years of age. He played 45 games last season, started last week against Burnley. In a higher position, actually, almost at number 10. Almost scored after 30 seconds. He is a good midfield player, and he will be, I think, a real asset in the coming years as he fills out. He's rather tall as well, isn't he? Blonde-haired. Looks like the archetypal Swede. He trots into the 18-yard box now to do a bit of marking because Spurs have got a corner to defend. Andreas Georgsson, the set-piece coach, just organising Spurs as the ball goes in towards the near post. It floats right the way through the middle of the penalty area, and it's won by Romero, picked up by Porro. He puts on the afterburners and sprints up over the halfway line. He's kept it well, played it into Bergvall, who's onside, and now Tottenham continue to drag themselves away from danger, and he's beaten Rico Lewis. He gets into the box, he lays it back. Odegaard! It's narrowly wide of the left-hand upright. He was running onto that as the ball was pulled back to the edge of the area by Bergvall, and Odegaard had a great chance to seal it for Tottenham.
Yeah, it was great work, wasn't it, by Bergvall down the right-hand side. Rico Lewis slipped. Bergvall just went past him and then picked the right pass, pulled it back to the penalty spot for Odegaard, and there was the opportunity just to wrap that foot around it. He just couldn't quite do it. Just couldn't quite whip it back the opposite way that he was running.
That looked like it was going out of play as Foden sent a ball cross-field. It was recovered by Haaland, and then Bernardo Silva playing it into Lewis on the edge of the area. Then saw Romero, didn't see Romero coming. They've given it back, but then it's switched over again, and Rodri floats it towards Ake, 10 yards short of the penalty area. Bergvall with a late challenge on Ake, gives away a free kick 6 yards out of the box. Both of them, I think, sort of slipped and clashed knees, and it's going to be a free kick to Manchester City with 2.5 to play on Talksport right at the end of the game, and Tottenham leading by 2-0.
I think this is, it's unfortunate. Bergvall goes in strongly on Nathan Ake, and both come off with a knock. But Foden in this position might look to clip this in, whip this in towards the far post. Will he try and catch Vicario out as well?
Free kick to be taken by Foden. Remember, you can follow all the 3 o'clock games on Game Day Live with Adrian Durham straight after we finished here He's at Turf Moor today, and then you can phone in and have your say with Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara. Here is the cross from Foden. Poor delivery. Hits the first man, Bergvall. Drops on the edge of the box. There's an aggressive challenge from Rodri that's penalised. The free kick is given to Tottenham, just short of the penalty area, away to our left-hand side. Statistically today, Tottenham have only had 40% of the ball, but both teams have had 10 shots. Both teams have caused problems for the other in small bursts. Both have only had 2 big chances, but Tottenham have taken those, and Manchester City didn't when they presented themselves, and that's the difference in the game. There was a little bit of casualness about the playing out from the back. The out-of-possession work from Tottenham has been brilliant. The high press has been superb. And if you make mistakes in this league, you get punished.
Yeah, you do. I think the defensive side of Tottenham is what's been impressive, and there hasn't been a huge wave of momentum in this second half from City. They haven't really been able to get in any sort of flow to build that momentum. They've been a little bit off it in terms of their connection between the forward players. Obviously there is, new players in this City team too, as there is for the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal and the rest.
Well, after this, City go to Brighton next Sunday, then they've got the Manchester derby here, then they travel to Arsenal. It's a crucial few weeks and a tough start to the season for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. After this, Spurs welcome Bournemouth to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They got West Ham and Brighton on consecutive weeks before Wolves at home and Leeds away. They could make a relatively solid start to the season if they play as disciplined as this in those matches. Here is Bernardo Silva over on the far side. Back to Stones. His cross into the box is headed away by Bergvall. Doku will retrieve it, but only once it's gone out for a throw-in on this near side. And with just seconds remaining at the end of the 90 and only 4 minutes to be added on at the end, there is still work to do for Tottenham, but they are edging closer and closer to victory. They want another forward. Maybe it'll be Savinho, who's not in the City squad today. City want to ship players out because they don't think the squad is in a healthy position. That was the words of Pep Guardiola. But Tottenham are going to make a good start to the season here as Kevin Danso comes on to replace Polinia for the final few moments of this game and to also run down the clock as well.
It's just about that shape, isn't it? It's just about covering the penalty area now, as City you would expect to put crosses in, but also that edge of the area still needs to be filled. So Papsar will go in alongside Bentancur.
Spurs on the verge of winning consecutive matches at the Etihad for the first time since May 2010. Ball with Bernardo Silva for Manchester City, and Stones on the edge of the area, floats it into the box. It's evaded Kevin Danso, misjudged the header, runs through towards Jeremy Doku, who sets it back up for Ake, left side of the box. A long ball towards Haaland. It drops for Bernardo Silva. He miskicks it, and Jed Spence brings it away for Tottenham, and they'll run this to safety and run this up into the Manchester City half and as far away from danger as possible. Jed Spence has got options left and right. Pedro Porro's in acres of space at the far post if they decide to release it, but Papsar intelligently just keeps hold of the ball, and that's what Tottenham have got to do. That's what Tottenham don't usually do. Tottenham control, not rushing it, not going in search of a third, but making sure that they get 3 points rather than 3 goals, and keeping hold of it all the way back to the halfway line. Full-time Blackburn have beaten Hull by 3-0. In League One, Cardiff have beaten Luton away from home. It's finished 2-2 Rotherham Wigan in League One. Walsall have beaten Salford by 1-0. They're into the 9th minute of added time in the game at Newport, where it's Newport 1, MK Dons 2. Here is Solanke picking the ball up, running at the isolated defence. It's Diaz who's trying to get there. The shot comes back off of the goalkeeper. It's then pushed in by Odegaard and fisted away by Trafford once more, and sent out on this near side for a corner kick. They could have got 3. Solanke's effort well saved by Trafford, and then Odegaard had to be prevented by the goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, the first part was outstanding from James Trafford. Solanke just facing up Diaz, shifting onto the right foot, whipping it between his legs, which made it difficult for Trafford to get down and make the save. And then good reactions from the header from Odegaard that didn't have the pace on it, but he still needed to get down as it bounced in front of him to parry behind.
The last time Spurs won away from home in the Premier League, it was -4. February, long time ago. Those supporters on the far side have been waiting a long time to get 3 points on the road. They've been following their team through thick and thin. The ball into the area. It's not dealt with. It comes back to Romero. Tries to set it back for Bentancur. He goes down on the edge of the box. The referee says play on. Tottenham are the ones putting pressure on in the final minute of added time, leading by 2-0. It's a great cross into the box by Pedro Porro, looking for Solanke. Stones manages to head it clear. They won't let Manchester City escape by hook, by crook, by foul, by whatever means necessary. And Pap Sarr, who has been terrific at leading the press in this second half in particular, has been brilliant, is causing all sorts of problems. He just won't let them settle.
His energy is just outrageous. Where's he getting it from? Just every part of him just wants to do what he can for the team. What a teammate to have.
Charlton have lost by a 0-0 at home to Leicester on Talksport 2. Here is Phil Foden trying to get City back into the game. He sends across towards the edge of the 6-yard box. He's headed behind by Bergvall. We've played our 4 minutes of added time at the end of the 90. Tottenham have only beaten newly promoted sides since February, but there's something about City that stirs their blood. Cross into the box, cleared away by the Tottenham defence. They want the whistle now, the Tottenham supporters. Foden into the box, it's blocked by Pedro Porro. Out for a throw-in on this near side. Brennan Johnson on the score sheet again for Tottenham. Palhinha with his first Tottenham goal. Those two strikes in the first half are going to get Thomas Frank all 3 points at Manchester City. Bernardo Silva into Rodri, onto Reinders. Edge of the area is Rico Lewis. It's going to be away by Pedro Porro, who thumps it into the City half. The celebrations on the Tottenham bench and in the away end. 10 Premier League games unbeaten at the end of the season. A 4-0 win at Wolves to start this one. But just when you think Manchester City look like they are back in the saddle again, along come Tottenham Hotspur to knock them straight out of it. Palhinha and Johnson with the goals that fire Tottenham to yet another victory against City, only fueling the claim that Spurs are City's bogey side. Pep Guardiola has suffered more Premier League defeats to Tottenham than anyone else, and not many can say that. Thomas Frank enjoyed his first home assignment as Spurs boss last week, and he would have thoroughly enjoyed this. A terrific out-of-possession performance by a jubilant Tottenham Hotspur, who celebrate by picking one another up on the Manchester City Etihad turf, knowing that at full time they've taken all 3 points. Manchester City 0, Tottenham 2.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. What a performance from this Tottenham Hotspur side, and the away fans are singing away as the Etihad becomes the Emptyhad pretty quickly as the City fans start to filter their way out of the stadium. That is 2 wins in 2 for Tottenham Hotspur so far. They are currently top of the table and scored 5 goals in their opening 2 games of this new Premier League season. What a start for Thomas Frank and his side. What a performance, what a cohesive game plan they had, and some real individual standout performances there as well. Devastating for Manchester City. They seem to be... There's something, isn't there, against Spurs and Manchester City. Spurs most certainly a bogey team for this City side. They just have their number. We need to find out what it is. We can't quite put our fingers on it, because while Pep Guardiola has been here, there have been a number of Tottenham Hotspur managers who have rolled over in recent seasons, but they all seem to have their number. 4-0 they were beaten by Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur here last season, and Thomas Frank has done the job today. Huge performance from Spurs. They've won 3 in their last 5 at the Etihad in the Premier League. Dean Ashton has been watching, has been observing, has sat alongside me here. There is something about this game, but it's something about the fixture in itself, but you've got to say, as the Spurs fans cheer as the team head over to them, there is a cohesiveness, not just behind, there's a relationship now that's developing deeper since this Europa League win, since Thomas Frank has come on board, between the fans and the players, but within the team itself. They look like a unit. Everybody knows their job.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have to give a little bit of credit still just to Ange Postecoglou in terms of what winning the Europa League would do to a team and players, and that feeling you certainly would have got from that and grown as a player and as leaders, I think, that we can see in this Tottenham side. But Thomas Frank has come in and really refined what he's seen, what they've got in the ranks. and got that togetherness. And look, you can have all the quality you want. At this level, many players have super quality. But today, what was so obvious was effort, desire, organisation, understanding, willingness to help your teammates and run that extra yard to help them defensively and in attack. And that's what was so impressive for me, was that he's been able to get that togetherness, as you've talked about, so quickly and in such an organised fashion. If they can build on that, wow, that's positive for Tottenham. And if they can bring in another couple of players too.
Yeah, that's the organisation, I think, that you hit the nail on. I mean, before coming here, Thomas Frank said, against the City side, you have to be brave, you have to be aggressive. They certainly were all of that. And it's the one thing we didn't see last season was pragmatism. What we saw was Tottenham going all out every single time, not to defend a lead, but to try and get another goal. And they got caught, didn't they, on the counter so many occasions. This was a much more controlled performance, and that is the difference between the Tottenham of last season and the Tottenham this season.
Yeah, it's taking the best parts of what you saw last season in an attacking sense, but then sort of refining that defensive thought process is what it is, isn't it? As a player, it's the thought process.
It's a reprogramming of everything you've learned in your last incarnation.
It's not just, well, this is the way we play regardless of match situation. No, we look at the situation we're in. Second half, I thought it was such a good display in terms of not letting City get any momentum. Being so good out of possession and so organised that you stop the attacks really early, and that stops the momentum. And then being willing to attack in a way that you've got enough numbers to keep the ball up the pitch. There was just a real understanding about what was needed against Manchester City, who aren't quite there yet.
And on that note, Manchester City, as you say, certainly aren't quite there yet. We'll talk about the rest of the team in a moment, but do you think Pep will regret the decision to put James Trafford in goal instead of Ederson today? Because there were a number of occasions where he looked very, very shaky. There were a number of occasions where, and that particular one against Mohamed Kudus with his knee out, was he lucky to still be on the pitch? I mean, it wasn't an assured performance by any stretch of the imagination by someone who, albeit is a very, very young goalkeeper, but at this level you have to step up.
Yeah, you do. If you're taking the shirt, of course you have to step up, and you have to take on the pressures of playing for a Manchester City and the expectations of course you do. And you don't know whether the pressure of Ederson being on the bench and Donnarumma, the rumours of him, will have affected him as a player. But it wasn't a good showing from him today. It's something he's got to learn from, and I'm sure he'll be worried that he might not have kept the shirt for the next game because of those mistakes, because of how cutthroat it is at this level. But it's not all down to him. Out of possession, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's too many weaknesses out of possession at the moment for Manchester City that other teams will look at and think we can really get at them and get to that back four where City have shown at times they can be vulnerable if they're out of position.
Yeah, look, Rayan Aït-Nouri going off early on wouldn't have helped Pep Guardiola's game plan, but as you say, it isn't just one player who's made a difference there. Tijani Reinders had such a solid performance in the last game against Wolves, and Wolves, of course, a side who haven't strengthened enough, and a lot of people are looking at them as perhaps a side that could be in danger this season. So we wouldn't have learnt so much about Manchester City in the last game as we perhaps did in this one. What is your biggest takeaway in terms of what Manchester City need to do to improve in this new look side that we now have?
I think out of possession was so obvious to me in the way that Tottenham then were able to disrupt the game, to get a hold of the game at times, and Manchester City couldn't cope with that, whether that was again a desire or having enough athleticism in the team to deal with that. And Tottenham looked at probably the way that Manchester City played last week, and they didn't give them the space. They didn't give Reinders the space just to have the freedom to run from midfield. It wasn't there. They had Bentancur and Paulinho and Pape Sarr, who was outstanding as well, to stop that. And there's a lot of new players still with City. So I think there's certainly some work to be done, isn't there, on that showing? Absolutely. With Rodri back, if they can keep him fit, and get the game time, he will make a massive difference to them.
Well, this is the thing. Last season, it was very much about Rodri is the key. Without Rodri there, they just can't seem to do it. Do you think it's as simple as that?
I think the stats, as Sam talked about, has shown that. You know, he's a Ballon d'Or winner. Everyone around the world has felt he's certainly the best player in that position that we've seen for a very, very long time. And he will make a huge difference in the control that Manchester City have, both in attack and defence.
It's that linchpin, isn't he? OK, let's pick our man of the match then with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here for It hero on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Dino, who are you going for?
Oh, I mean, the amount of work that this man got through was just outrageous. I thought Pape Sarr just gave everything in terms of his willingness out of possession, but the intelligence of when to press, as he did for the goal that Paulinho scored. That was him that started the press and won the ball to Richarlison. And then even towards the last 10 minutes when most players are looking tired, he didn't. He was still there, both defensively, and then all of a sudden you'd see him on the edge of the attacking penalty area. I just thought it was an all-round terrific performance and set the tone and the tempo for Tottenham today.
Yeah, what a performance then from this Tottenham Hotspur side. And Pape Sarr is our Here for It hero, man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.